Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching us from wherever you're watching us across the world. I am so excited to have you guys on, and I believe it's going to be an interesting live stream. Welcome, every one of you. This is one interesting live stream. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. How are you? How are you? How have your day been? I hope you guys had a very wonderful, productive Monday. My Monday was interesting, or has been interesting. It's not over. It's not over yet. It's like 2 hours to be 2 hours to go. I still have 2 hours in my Monday, but thus far, we thank God. God has been good. God has been faithful, and I believe in your life as well. God has been good, and He has been faithful. If He has, can I get an amen in the comments, in the live comments? Can I get a fantastic amen? Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. I'm so happy to see every one of you. I'm happy to see you, STK. I'm happy to see you, John, my one and only, not my one and only, but my most able moderator. MC John, based Anglican. I'm so happy to see every one of you. I'm so happy to see every one of you. Please just do me a favor by hitting the like button, smashing, destroying, demolishing that like button. Uh, demolishing that like button. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and share this link, share it to everyone that needs to see it. Let everyone know that we are live right now and we are ready to rumble. Please hit the like button, hit that like button if you've not yet liked the video, so that the algorithm will show this to other people out there and let them know that this is something that they're supposed to see. It is your civic duty. Okay, you owe it to yourself, to your country, to your to everything that you owe it to. Okay, and in this live stream, we're going to be talking about something very close to home. Whenever I make videos talking about what is happening in the UK or what is happening in the US or somewhere else in the world, people always tell me, well, especially the Muslims, one of the criticisms I get is, why don't you talk about Nigeria? Why don't you stop, obsessing about what is happening in the UK and talk about Nigeria? Well, stop obsessing what is happening in the West and talk about Nigeria. Well, today, your wish is my command, and I'll be talking about Nigeria for the most part. In fact, when I was planning this live stream, I have nothing else to discuss. Usually whenever we do a live stream like this, I have like a list of things to go through before I get to the main subject matter. But that's not the case today. Today we are going straight into the subject matter. We have nothing else, no preliminary subject to discuss. Just straight into what is happening in Nigeria, and that's what we are going to do today. And I want everyone to just smash that like button. Let as many people as possible watch this. We are just 18 right now watching this. Watching me live, just 18. That's not a great number, but even if it's just one person, the live stream will go on as planned. So please smash the like button, share the link of this live stream to as many people as possible. Let everyone know that we are live and we are talking about something very, very important. In fact, what we are talking about is one of the most essential topics of 2025. And it's unfortunate that this has not gotten as much attention as it should. And it's, for most people, it's getting the attention that it requires at this point. People talk about Gaza, people talk about Palestine, and that has dominated mainstream conversation for a very long time. Everybody's talking about Gaza, everybody's talking about Palestine. But if there's one issue that should be on everyone's lips, there's one issue that should get as much attention, if not more, it should be what we are about to talk about. That is the genocide. I think that since that word has been overused, let me use that. I would say the massacre, the slaughter, the systemic killing and oppression of Christians in northern Nigeria. But since the word genocide has become like we now use it for everything and anything, we should use the word genocide. The genocide of the Christian population in northern Nigeria, the systemic killing of Christians in northern Nigeria. It is what we are going to be discussing about today. And I'm going to tell you the story of how it became part of the mainstream conversation in the last couple of days, and how people in Nigeria have been reacting to it, and how I hope this conversation would continue, especially how I hope this will continue in the mainstream conversation about what is going on, in Nigeria. Welcome everyone once again. I hope you guys have made yourself comfortable. Grab your popcorn. Get your soda. Okay, and let's get into it. Okay, firstly, I want to say that one thing people don't know is this: that when you talk about who is the most persecuted religious group in the world, someone may be tempted to think, oh, it's the Jews. Or if you're somebody who live in the West, you might be tempted to, especially in Europe, you're tempted to think, oh, it's the Muslims. Muslims often portray themselves as victims. That's why we have words like Islamophobia and anti-Muslim hatred and stuff like that. That's kind of what is like being talked about in the mainstream, especially when it has to do with religious discrimination, religious hatred. People talk about Muslims. Yes, Jews are also mentioned, thrown in the mix there. You have associations like the ADL that try to track anti-Jewish hatred. And, you have organizations like that. And then you have various organizations that even talk about anti-Muslim hatred. You have, I forgot the name of one of these organizations that even came up with the soon-to-be adopted British law definition of Islamophobia that defines Islamophobia as a form of racism. So when you talk about hatred of a religious organization, you might tend to think, oh yeah, Muslims are the ones that are being discriminated against, or Jews are the ones that are being discriminated against. When you are a Christian in the West, it's hardly imagined that you are persecuted. It's even hardly imagined by Western Christians and Westerners in general that Christians can face any form of discrimination. But that is not true. In reality, the most persecuted group on the planet, the number one most persecuted group in the world is Christianity. Christianity is the most persecuted religion in the world. Number one. It's not the most persecuted are not Jews, the most persecuted are not Muslims. The most persecuted are Christians. And when we talk about persecution, we are not talking about somebody saying something offensive about Muhammad. These days that's what counts as anti-Muslim hatred. Is somebody said Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 and consummated the marriage when she was 9. Someone says that, and Muslims will say, oh, look at that, that's Islamophobia. Or somebody says Islam is not compatible with the West. Someone will say, oh, that is Islamophobia. Words essentially is what constitutes anti-Muslim hatred, is what constitutes Islamophobia. You open the Quran and you see something that is outrageous, and you point it out and you say, can you imagine Muhammad said this? Can you imagine that Muslims are taught this? Can you imagine that the Quran commands Muslims to do this? Or you show Surah 9 verse 29 and be like, look at what the Quran says. And the response you get from Muslims is, oh, that is Islamophobia. A Muslim attacks the World Trade Center or blow up a bus in the UK. And the response is, let's not generalize and say this is about all Muslims because of the fear of the rise in Islamophobia. That is kind of what people describe as anti-Muslim hatred or religious hatred when it has to do with Islam or Muslims. But when it has to do with Christians, that's not what we are talking about. We're not talking about somebody saying stuff. I mean, if that's the case, then atheists have been saying so many negative things about Christianity. Muslims have an entire book that aims to criticize Christianity. But that's not anti-Christian hatred. When we talk about anti-Christian hatred, we're talking about people whose life have been threatened and taken sometimes. In most cases, their lives have been taken. Okay? Their lives have been taken due to anti-Christian hatred. We're not talking anti-Christian bias. That's not even what we are calculating here. Anti-Christian bias is not what we are calculating. We're talking about anti-Christian visible hatred, violence against Christians because of what they believe. That's what we believe. That's what we are talking about. Like when you talk about a list of countries with the highest number of anti-Christian hatred, you talk about places like North Korea, we talk about places like China. When we mention places like North Korea and China, we are not talking about just anti-Christian sentiment. We are not talking about anti-Christian speech. That's not what is being discussed. We're talking about actual anti-Christian hatred that manifests itself in conducts of violence against Christians. And 89% of that persecution of Christians, the worldwide persecution of Christians, 89% of it is coming from one country. And that country is Nigeria. Think about that. Christians are the most persecuted group in the world. And 89% of that persecution is coming from one country, Nigeria. That is what we are talking about today. That is the height of hatred that we are talking about today. And again, like I said, it's not just speech. It's not just people saying, oh, I don't like Christians because I think they are stupid, or Christians are vermin, or whatever. No, that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about Nick Fuentes style of hatred. I'm talking actual hatred. Okay? That is the state of what is happening in Nigeria. And we are going to look at examples, and not just examples, but news headlines covering this. Okay? We are going to look at news headlines covering this. And we are going to look about how this became part of the current public conversation for a little while. And I hope it doesn't dwindle. I hope it remains strong. I hope this becomes part of the mainstream Western conversation. And I hope that many of the steps that have been taken to address this issue continues and progresses, so that we get to deal with this issue at least significantly, substantially this year and next year. Hopefully, there will be a reduction in the way Christians are being massacred in northern Nigeria. Now, before we go further, I need to also make you guys understand, because when I talk about persecution that Christians face in Nigeria, many people begin to worry for my own safety. And I want you guys to understand that no, I'm not at risk, or at least I don't face immediate risk of persecution like some other Nigerians do. And that is, it's not because I'm well-to-do or anything. It's just because of based on where I live in the country. Yes, for those who don't know, I live in Nigeria. I'm not living in the West. I'm not living in the UK. I'm not living in the United States. I'm not living in Australia or any of these countries. I live in Nigeria, not West Africa, Nigeria. The very Nigeria you keep hearing about. I live in that country. Okay. But Nigeria is divided, for the most part, like roughly divided into two parts for the purpose of this conversation. Nigeria is roughly divided into two parts. That's northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria. Northern Nigeria is where, in northern Nigeria, you have 12 states. 12 states, I think so, about 12 states in northern Nigeria that enforces a form of Sharia law and has majority Muslim population. We are talking Sokoto, Kano, Kaduna, Zamfara, Borno, and many other states like that. Niger State as well. You have many of these states that are Muslim majority and enforces a form of Sharia law. Okay, but that's not the case in the southern part. Now, why the northern part is like that, there's also the part close to the north that is also being affected by this, which is what we call the Christian belt in Nigeria. The Christian belt. We're talking about Kwara, we're talking about Kogi, we're talking about Jos, some parts of Bauchi, and we're also talking about some parts of Bauchi, and we're also talking about Benue. Okay, and even some parts of Enugu have, found themselves in the crosshairs when it has to do with Christian persecution. Okay, those places experience a serious wave of jihadist attack, like coordinated jihadist attack that goes unchecked, that the government does nothing about, essentially. Places like Jos and Benue states, these two states especially, although we've seen waves of attacks like this in places like Kwara. We've seen attacks like this in places like Niger State. Now, Niger State used to be the Bible Belt, but has become predominantly Muslim. But you see it in many of these states, especially the states that are at the center of Nigeria. They face severe attacks from jihadists, like that lead to so many people getting displaced, so many people losing their lives. We hear instances of pastors and priests getting kidnapped. You have instances of communities just burnt to the ground as a result of these attacks. You have them in the middle belt. Then you have the southern part of the country, which is relatively peaceful and doesn't have much of this kind of attacks, and it's not run by Sharia law. So it's good to know that, and with that in mind, understand that for the most part, I will not be affected by this, as long as I live within the southern region, and as long as the Muslims do not encroach, because they are moving downward, they're moving from the north downward. So as long as that does not happen, for the most part, I am safe, and hopefully it will not happen in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So that is a summary of what we are going to be talking about. Before we dive in, guys, 48 of us that are watching currently, please smash the like button, destroy that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And you can also support what we do. You can support us by, giving us super chats. Okay, I'm here to collect your money. I've been called a grifter. It's time to live up to that name. And it depends on you. 100% depends on you. Make the rumors true by sending me super chats. And you can also go to www.buymeacoffee.com/NIG perspective, or just buymeacoffee.com/NIG perspective. You can go there and send in your money, send in your jizya, send in your shekels, send in, that much needed payment to keep this to keep this show going for the most part. And God will richly bless you. All right. So, with that being said, how did this become news? How did this become news? We all already know that last week you had like the United Nations General Assembly. Many heads of state get to speak in the United Nations General Assembly, and one of the head of states that get to speak is the Nigerian leadership. Now, our president Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I think he was unable to attend. Maybe he's one of those of his health challenges. This is an old man, older than Joe Biden, so he was unable to attend. His vice president was the one in attendance. His vice president goes by the name Shetima. I don't know his surname, but Shetima is all you need to know. Okay, so Shetima was so Shetima was at the United Nations General Assembly that held this year, and this is what he had to say. Now, this is somebody coming from a country that has over 22 in Nigeria right now. There are over 20 active terrorist organizations in Nigeria. Insecurity in Nigeria is seriously very challenging. Like we have a serious problem of insecurity. We have so many challenges plaguing the nation, and Shetima is on the world stage, has the attention of world leaders, and has an opportunity to make an important statement on this global international stage. And guess what he decided to talk about? Guess what the vice president of Nigeria decided to talk about? Well, you don't need to guess, because we are going to show you exactly what he decided to talk about. Here he is. This is the guy, Shetima, and this is what he had to say at the UNGA.
This is why we are not indifferent to the devastations of our neighbors near and distant. This is why we speak of the violence and aggression visited upon innocent civilians in Gaza.
You see, did you hear what he said? We talk about the violence visited on people in where? Did he say Sokoto? Did he say Kwara? Did he say Jalingo? Did he say Bauchi? Did he say Kaduna? Did he say Kano? Did he say Sokoto? These are states in Nigeria that are plagued by Islamic terrorism. Did he mention any of that? Did he mention any of that? The people that have been killed by these Islamic terror organizations in these states are significantly higher than anything you've had that is happening in Gaza. And this has been going on for years. Did he mention any of that? Did he mention that he shows sympathy for any of these people? He never mentioned it was. Where does his sympathy lies? Where does his sympathy lies? Here. This is where it lies.
We speak of the violence and aggression visited upon innocent civilians in Gaza.
Gaza, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you know you have a very powerful, effective, and caring leader. His focus is not on what is going on in Nigeria. His focus is what is going on in Gaza. In Gaza, ladies and gentlemen. That's where his eyes is at. That's where his attention is shifted to. That's what is very important for him as a leader. What is important for him is what is going on in Gaza.
The illegal attack on Qatar and the tension.
Oh, he's very concerned about Qatar, a nation that is economically better in every way and form, and it's that oh God, a nation that does not need his help. Like Qatar does not need your help, Shetima. Did they pay you? Probably they did. Why are you talking about Qatar? What is your business with Qatar? You're showing sympathy for Qatar, a nation that is housing terrorists, housing leaders of Hamas. That is where you are showing. See, that's where your concern is. Oh, look at what is happening in Qatar. That is where you decide to throw light. That's what you decide to shine your light on. Qatar.
That scars the wider region. It is not only because of the culture of impunity that makes such acts intolerable.
Oh, let's talk about impunity. He said it's not only the culture of impunity. Let me not speak ill of Shetima. We live in Nigeria, so let me try and I'll tame the insult. This very brilliant, smart man, you can tell by the cap on his head that he's really smart, talks about impunity in the attack that Israel has carried out in Gaza and in Qatar. Maybe he should have added Iran just for good measure. You put in Iran there, you slide it in. Come on, go ahead. You can do that. Talking about impunity. Do you know that in Nigeria, jihadists, this is a true fact. Jihadists in Nigeria are holding town hall meetings. Jihadists in Nigeria are publicly and openly running various local governments in various states in Nigeria. Like, there are states in Nigeria right now, there are local governments, there are communities in Nigeria right now as we speak that are under the full control of terrorist groups. Like, full control. Terrorist groups have hijacked the community. And they are collecting tax from people who come in and go out from that community. Those who buy and sell, pay tax to jihadists, in This is happening in this very country. Talk about impunity. What has the administration he belongs to? What have they done about it? This man, when there's this leader we had in Nigeria a few years back, Goodluck Jonathan. It was under Goodluck Jonathan that Chibok girls were kidnapped and many things were happening. In fact, it was under Jonathan that we saw the rise of Boko Haram. Right? And when that was happening under Jonathan, now Jonathan, by the way, is a leader from the south, not from the north. He wasn't even a Muslim, he was a Christian. His vice president was, of course, a Muslim, but this is a Christian president from the south, like the very tail of the south, right? When he was president, Shettima was heavily critical of Jonathan, very, very critical of him, talking about how this man was doing how Jonathan was doing nothing to address insecurity in Borno State. Then he was the governor of Borno State. He talked about how Jonathan was doing nothing to address the issue of insecurity in Borno State. But as soon as Jonathan left and then Buhari became president, Buhari is a Muslim. Buhari was a Muslim. He's late now. Buhari was a Muslim. The Muslim head president, a Fulani, by the way, and he was president. When Buhari was president, Shettima did not criticize Buhari for once. It's not like the insecurity became the issue of insecurity became less of a problem. No, it became more. Boko Haram kept on carrying out their activities in northern Nigeria. His state was under constant attack from Boko Haram. In fact, they took over under Buhari. Boko Haram took over of Sambisa. Sambisa is an area in Borno State. They were controlling Sambisa, and he was governor of Borno State. Sambisa is in his state. In his state, he said nothing. In fact, when he was asked by the media, why don't you criticize Buhari? He said that Buhari listens to him. So he will not criticize Buhari because Buhari listens to him, though he does nothing. He doesn't criticize if a Muslim who is now president. But when he was a Christian who was president, his mouth was filled with criticisms. And now he is vice president and nothing has changed. Nothing. Under the administration he's working with, Boko Haram have gone ahead to kidnap more girls. Though it doesn't make major news anymore because kidnapping of girls in the north is now like every other Tuesday. And he's here talking about impunity. This guy is talking about impunity. The impunity of these people. The impunity of Israel to fight terrorists. That's what he's criticizing. But the impunity of terrorists to carry out attacks goes uncriticized. It is normal, it is okay, because he comes from a country where it is okay.
But because our own bitter experience has taught us that such violence never ends where it begins.
Our own bitter experience, or the one he has allowed. Oh man, let's not pause too much. Let him keep talking.
We do not believe that the sanctity of human life should be trapped in the corridors of endless debate. That is why we say
he's talking this human being. He's the vice president. Let me not say something before police will knock at my door. This vice president is talking about the sanctity of human life, while he's the vice president of a country where blasphemy is punishable by death. Saying something about the Prophet Muhammad is punishable by death. And he has been vice president and people have been killed because of blasphemy and he has said nothing. And he's talking, just imagine that this person that comes from a country like that is talking about, he's at the UN, he's at the United Nations General Assembly, talking about the sanctity of human life that should not be debated. You know, it should not be subject to debate. He cares. Newsflash. This comes as newsflash to Nigerians, ladies and gentlemen. This is newsflash. We are shocked to realize why last week we were shocked to realize that our vice president actually cares about the sanctity of human life. We were like, wow, we didn't know this. News flash, wow.
Without stuttering and without doubt that a two-state solution remains the most dignified path to lasting peace for the people of Palestine.
Oh, and that was met with a round, yeah, it was met with a round of applause. All that stupid leaders.
For too long,
look at them clapping like he just said something profound. This man is talking about a two-state solution, yet Nnamdi Kanu is in prison. He's talking about a two-state solution, then yet is a leader of a separatist movement in his country is in prison. Not because he committed any act of violence, nothing like that, but because he said things, because he led rallies, because he held rallies for what he believes should happen in the East, that the East should secede from the rest of Nigeria. That is why he's put in prison. He's still in prison as we speak. Nnamdi Kanu is still in prison as we speak. His administration will not release him. How about a two-state solution? A two-state solution in Nigeria? How about a two-state solution in Nigeria? How about the East succeeds from the rest of the country? How about that? You go to the UN to preach about a two-state solution being the perfect solution. That is what you say. That's what you're saying. Loud and clear. You are shouting it from the rooftop, shouting it from the very podium of the UNGA. You are saying a two-state solution. And yeah, in Nigeria, this is Nigeria, where we have separatist movement that want to secede from the country. And you will not even hear them out. You will not even conduct a referendum to know if people in the East want it. And any person who come up as a leader to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to advocate for this, you throw them into prison. You put them in prison. You put them behind bars. You try to silence and quench the movement and miss the. We had Operation Python Dance. That's what it was called, Operation Python Dance in Eastern Nigeria, because of people who were advocating for the state of Biafra. They were not violent, nothing like that. They were peacefully asking for the state of Biafra to be crafted out of Nigeria. And the military was deployed to the East in what they called Operation Python Dance. In what they call Operation Python, and it was serious. There was heavy presence of the Nigerian military in the East. There is this saying that goes on in Nigeria that in the South, the Nigerian army is powerful. It's like the lion. It's like a lion in the South. But in the North, the Nigerian army is like cats, scared cats. They go into hiding in the North. But in the South, they are brave and powerful, and they are going to show you why they are called the Nigerian army. Somebody slaps an army officer, there's a reprisal on the whole community. They shoot indiscriminately into people's houses. But in the North, a military base is blown to pieces and there's no reprisal. Military helicopters are shot down by terrorists. There is no reprisal, nothing. But in the South is where they are ready to do Operation Python Dance. And he's here talking about a two-state solution. A two-state solution. Oh my goodness.
This community has borne the weight of moral conflict. For too long, we have been caught in the crossfire of violence that offends the conscience of humanity. We come not as partisans, but as peacemakers.
Peacemakers, my brother, charity begins at home. Peacemaker, charity begins at home. Go and make peace in northern Nigeria. Go and make peace in Borno State. That's your state. You are the former governor of that state. Go and make peace in Borno State. Go and end Boko Haram in Borno State. Then you come to the international stage and preach about peace.
We come as brothers and sisters of a shared wall, a wall that must never reduce the right to live into the currency of devious politics.
Oh my God. This guy is on fire. This guy is just on fire. The hypocrisy of this guy is just on fire.
The people of Palestine are not collateral damage in a civilization searching for order. They are human beings.
What about the people in northern Nigeria? What are they? They're not even collateral damage. They're just Surah 929, right? That's what they are.
Equal in worth, entitled to the same freedoms and dignities that the rest of us take for granted. We want to make the choice crystal clear. Civilized values over fear.
Civilized values. Oh, rich words coming from Shetima. Civilized values. Don't worry, we are going to go through a lot of civilized values that are obtainable in Nigeria, and he has done nothing to oppose. We are going to talk about them. Civilized values. We are going to talk about all the civilized values that are obtainable in northern Nigeria, especially Borno State, where he was the former governor. We're going to talk about the civilized values that we find in Sharia law obtainable in northern Nigeria. We're going to look at those civilized values that he's ready to talk about at the UN stage. Those civilized values, we're going to look at them.
Civilized values over vengeance. Civilized
values over vengeance.
values over bloodshed. We show the opportunities that peace brings. Just as the extremists hope to drive apart rival communities and different religions.
Just saying a lot of nothing. By extremists, what does he mean by the extremists try to drive? What is he talking about? Is he going to mention Hamas? Do you think let's throw out a challenge? Do you think Shetima is going to mention Hamas by name? Do you think he's going to mention Hamas by name in this excellent, eloquent gibberish that he's just spewing at the UNGA? Do you think he's going to mention Hamas?
We work through multilateral.
Going to leave us to guess who the extremists are. Because it's not unfounded for these Muslim leaders to say Israel is a terror, the IDF is a terrorist organization. It's not unfounded. It's not far-fetched for them. It's not hard to imagine them thinking, oh, the IDF is the terrorist element we are talking about here.
Platforms within the rule of law to build the consensus and support that makes this immensely difficult and dangerous task that much easier. This is how we deny our enemies the space they crave to fuel tension and despair. It is our experience that this offers the best, perhaps only hope for peace, reconciliation, and victory for the civilized values of a shared humanity.
The way he's talking, a bunch of nonsense. He's just putting words like share the humanity, the civilized share humanity, humanity civilized humanity, humanity civilized, shared value, human dignity. Just putting all the buzzwords together. The person who wrote this speech must be oh my goodness.
Nigeria is a diverse country, also recognizes the variable geometry of democracy in different forms. And
he talked about democracy after his regime had been accused repeatedly of rigging the last election. The very violent election, by the way, I was heavily rigged. And he's here talking. In fact, his rigging of election put Edwin to shame.
For this reason, we are working with the United Nations to strengthen democratic institutions in our region and beyond through the Regional Partnership for Democracy.
Yep, and that is it, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. There is Shetima's speech at the UN about democracy and two-state solution. As you can see, he's really focusing on the things that Nigeria is interested in. These are the things that when the average Nigerian wake up in the morning, what he thinks about is the war in Gaza. The war in Gaza. How do we end the war in Gaza? How do we help our brothers and sisters in Palestine? That's what the average Nigerian. When you wake up in the morning and you see that the price of fuel is high, when you wake up in the morning and realize that there's been another attack in another village close by, when you wake up in the morning and you hear that the government have introduced another ridiculous policy, you say, oh my God, but the people in Palestine, how do we help them? And he went there to really represent Nigerians. He went there to really fully, indeed, represent Nigerians. That's what he went there to do. That is why we as Nigerians, we are so happy when we woke up after this speech was given and we woke up and we heard that somebody was talking about Nigeria. We heard that Maher was talking about Nigeria. And we were like, wait, what did he have to say about Nigeria? And then we listened and we watched and we listened to him talk about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. Something that our very wonderful leader could not address. Maher decided to talk about it and we were like, whoa, wait a minute, this is interesting. How does this, what did he say? And as soon as Maher started talking, Nigerian leaders, we are quick to go into, oh my God. Anyway, we'll look into that. We'll look into that just right away. I cannot play Maher's video because it's HBO and they are notorious for giving people copyright claim for claiming people's videos. So I will not do that. I will not risk it. But I'll read this headline. And for so many of you may have seen the clip of Bill Maher talking about it. So here is this news headline from Newsweek. Bill Maher says Christians being systematically killed in Nigeria, and he's 100% correct. US comedian Bill Maher has said Christians are being systematically killed in Nigeria and blasted people for not paying enough attention to it. I am not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria, he said during his real-time episode on Friday, referring to violence carried out by Islamic militant groups such as Boko Haram. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country, Maher said. Where are the kids protesting this? Exactly. Where is Greta? Greta Thunberg. When are we going to get our flotilla to northern Nigeria? When are we going to see the streets of England, the streets of Germany, the street of where else are they doing? Of France. Where are we going to see free northern Nigeria? Justice for northern Nigeria. When are we going to see any of that? Most likely never. Because no Jews are involved, of course. Like I've asked in one of my videos, do northern Nigerians need to? Do they have to somehow kidnap Jews to make this important, to make people pay attention? Is that the price that needs to be paid? And then he said several Nigerian figures. Now, after he said this, after this was became like it really went viral on Twitter, and even Nigerian Twitter was talking about it. Because there's one thing about Nigeria. Whenever people outside the country mention us, we are like, oh, what did they say? And, there were two responses. There are some people who are like, oh, why is he talking about this? And then there were people who were like, yeah, he's right. He's 100% correct. Finally, this is getting the much needed attention that it deserves. And there are many people, many associations and groups who were like, we've been talking about this for years. Finally. And I was one of them. I was like, finally, someone is saying this. Finally. Hopefully, this is going to become a part of the major conversations that people have, in mainstream media. Finally, this is going to get the attention that it deserves. But no, some Nigerian figures, we are not like, they don't want this to become a conversation. In fact, they've labeled this misinformation. Several Nigerian figures, including former Senator Shehu Sani and country's Muslim Public Affairs Center, have pushed back against this description, with Sani saying that terrorists do not discriminate their victims on the basis of their faith, which is a big fat lie. A big fat lie. And Shehu Sani knows. Now they're going to tell us, what these people are going to tell us is, oh, but come on, Muslims are also being attacked. Boko Haram bomb mosques as well. Why do they bomb the mosques? Why do they bomb mosques? Why do they attack Muslim communities as well? Why don't you tell us that this was done based on religion as well? It was done on the basis of religion. And it's not because these terrorists don't go out and say, yo, you know what, we're just going to kill Muslims. They kill Muslims. Boko Haram especially kill Muslims that they believe are heretical. Muslims that they consider to be hypocrites. According to Quran, Surah 2. Muslims that they consider hypocrites, they fight against them as well. In fact, this has led to a faction within Boko Haram. Now, Boko Haram has been fractured into three parts, essentially. But I don't know what the name of the third part is, but we have the original Boko Haram, and then you have ISWAP, Islamic State of West Africa. Islamic State of West Africa. I don't know what the P stands for. Islamic State of West Africa and something. Anyways, that's like the ISIS chapter of Boko Haram, essentially. And why there's a separation between Boko Haram and ISWAP is that Boko Haram is like, ISWAP is like, let's not kill us. Let's not be killing Muslims. Let's just focus on Christians. That's what ISWAP is saying. And Boko Haram is like, no, we are going to kill both Muslims and Christians. As long as these Muslims do not support our cause and recognize the Islamic State, we are going to kill them. And then there is a huge separation. And somebody's going to be like, oh, but they attack Muslims. No, they predominantly target Christians. And this is a known fact. Or the examples of Muslims getting killed does not negate the fact that Islamic terrorists and Islamic jihadists and jihadists in northern Nigeria especially target Christians. And when they want to attack communities, they attack Christian communities. And here is the interesting thing about the attack in Nigeria. Bill Maher was talking about it and he said it's done mostly by Boko Haram. You should know that Boko Haram is just is the most notorious terrorist organization in Nigeria. There are about 20 other Islamic terror organizations in Nigeria. Some of them just smaller, some of them tied to Al-Qaeda, some tied to, ISIS, some tied to other, affiliated to a much bigger, and some are just local. Some we don't even know where they belong to. So there's one new name I even had the other day. So they just keep propping up every now and then. Right? But besides these terror organizations, the average And this is the truth. I'm not saying this to paint a brush, to paint Muslims in northern Nigeria with a broad stroke. That's not why I'm saying this, but it is true. Okay? Your average Muslim in northern Nigeria, has terroristic tendencies. That is the truth. Okay? That is the truth. And I will tell you why I'm saying this. Before you had Boko Haram, before you had all these radical jihadist groups in northern Nigeria, the average Muslim communities, there have always been communal clashes in northern Nigeria, especially in Kaduna, for example, especially in southern Kaduna. There have been communal clashes, what we call religious clashes, where the Muslim community will attack the Christian community. These were not organized Islamists. These were just communities, Muslim communities in the north going to attack Christian communities. Then it was being labeled as communal clash. It wasn't just communal clash because the two communities were having disagreement. It was communal clash that was inspired by Islam. I have a friend of mine. I have a close friend of mine from the north who lives in the city that I live in the south. But she's from the north. In fact, she still have relatives in the north. She still goes to the north every once in a while, but she's a friend of mine. But she's a relative of mine, okay? And she was telling me that in northern Nigeria, especially the state where she lives in, that there is this saying that they say that no matter how friendly you are to a chicken, when it's time to kill it, you are still going to kill it. That is a saying that Muslims in her community usually say, that no matter how friendly you are with a chicken, when it's time to kill it, you are going to kill it. And she's saying that statement was said to mean that Christians in Muslim majority states in Nigeria are the chicken in question. They can be friendly with you, but when it's time to kill you, that's where the friendship ends. And she was she was explaining to me how like clashes happen. These so-called communal clashes between the Muslim and the Christians happen, and how these Christian communities will just be in their homes, and then you have Muslims on bikes, not terrorists, not Boko Haram. These are just Muslims. The Muslim community from the next village on bikes, driving with guns and machete into your community and attacking it and burning it and looting it. This has been happening in northern Nigeria in various communities. Some get reported, some don't get reported. This is the reality. So it's not just the attack on Christians, it's not just Boko Haram. It is your average Muslim carrying out Surah 929. That is how it happens. That is the real situation of what is going on in the north. And then you have other groups like the Fulanis who leave the north and go to the Christian belt and have set up headquarters in certain remote villages and are attacking villages systematically. These ones are not Boko Haram. We call them bandits. That's the new name we call them, because Nigerian media will call them anything than what they really are. Now they call them bandits, and they call them headers, and then they call it farmer header clash. It is not that. These are systematic killing of Christians, not done by Boko Haram. All the attacks you've been hearing that is going on in Benue State and Jos Plateau State, those are not being carried out by Boko Haram. Those are carried out by these Fulani groups, these Fulani jihadi groups that have no name, because they are either called bandits or they are called Fulani headsmen. But what they are jihadist groups, and their agenda, the reason why they fight, is an Islamic agenda. And many Muslim clerics in the north are in support of what they are doing. Some of them have openly shown support. But here we have Shehu Sani and the rest pushing back against the description. We Sani saying that terrorists do not discriminate their victim on the basis of their faith. And then Newsweek has contacted the Ministry of Nigerian, or the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs via email for comments. And you can imagine what the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs will say. Anyways, let's keep reading. The discussion highlights the difficulty in determining whether a religious group is being intentionally targeted or whether it is just one of the many groups that are victims of ongoing violence. Of course, people in the Newsweek, the writer of this article cannot tell, but I will tell you as a Nigerian, it is a targeted, the attacks are targeted and are targeted towards Christians. Boko Haram, for example, will stop a bus in northern Nigeria traveling from one state to another in the highway, remote highway where you don't have much traffic and much human activity, where the presence of Nigerian security is not felt, it's not even there, it's non-existent. They will attack a bus traveling in such a road, and then they will separate the Christians from the non-Christians, and then will massacre the Christians, and then they will film it and put it online. It's not a debate who they are targeting. International Christian advocacy group Open Doors lists Nigeria as the 7th most dangerous place for Christians on its World Watch list. In the top 6 countries on the list, which is headed by North Korea, more smaller numbers of Christians are involved. And the group said the more Christians are killed for their faith in Nigeria, says that more Christians are killed for their faith in Nigeria than in the rest of the world combined. Like I said earlier, 89% of Christian persecution is coming from Nigeria. But Nigeria has repeatedly pushed back against, not Nigeria, Nigerian leaders. Of course, when they say Nigeria, they are referring to Nigerian leaders. But know that the average Nigerian is not pushing back against this. The people pushing back against this are Nigerian leaders who are, unfortunately, our spokespeople. Shetima and co. But Nigeria has repeatedly pushed back against this type of reports, with its Minister of Foreign Affairs saying earlier this year that there are misinformation and misleading reports regarding the supposed targeted killings of Christians. Maher was speaking about this issue within the context of humanitarian protests for Gaza, saying this is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza, sparking debate about which issue are given attention and why. Here's the video of him talking. Can't play it, but we'll continue. Maher was speaking with Republican South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace, who is currently running for governor, when he brought up Nigeria. The fact that this issue has not gotten on people's radar is pretty amazing, he said. If you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sucks. You are in a bubble, which is true, 100%. Thankfully, people who watch my show are not those who are in that bubble because they know I talk about this. If you go and check my videos, I talk about this extensively. He said, I am not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria, he said. They killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burnt 18,000 churches. That is true. That is very true. That is, okay, how many churches? I want to ask the Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs. How many churches in northern Nigeria need to be burnt for we to say, okay, this is, when a church in northern Nigeria is burnt to ashes, is this an attack against Christians? Or do we still need to ask ourselves, actually, who are they trying to get? Maybe there's one Muslim in that church, probably 4 or 5 of them that was the main target of the attack. Who knows? We can never tell. These are the Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza, Maher said. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this? Maher did not say where he got these figures from, but it may have been from a recent report released by a Nigerian-based human rights organization, human rights NGO, International Society for Civil Liberty and the Rule of Law, Inter-Society, in August. Let's click on that report. We'll look at it. The civil society watchdog said the jihadists have killed over 125,000 Christians since 2009, with 19 churches razed in that time. It also counts 60,000 liberal Muslims killed in these years. And I thank God for what this article reports that this NGO noted, that 60,000 liberal Muslims, just so you know the Muslims that are being targeted. It's not just they are killing liberal Muslims that are not as radical as they want them to be. Those are the Muslims that are being targeted. Newsweek reported on the group's finding that more than 7,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria during the first 220 days of 2025. Keep that in mind. This is just 2025. In just 2025, over 7,000 Christians have been killed. In its report, Inter-Society called for Donald Trump's administration to class Nigeria as a country of particular concern, a U.S. State Department designation under the International Religious Freedom act for countries whose government engage in or tolerate particularly severe violation of religious freedom. And you can see why the Nigerian government is pushing against this, because they don't want to be categorized as such. But they need to be. They need to be, because they are complicit. They are complicit. They have done nothing. The Nigerian government have done nothing. It is so alarming, the amount of nothing that they have done. The amount of nothing that these people have done. What they do when these attacks happen is they come and they give speeches. In fact, we've seen Nigerian politicians are very interesting people. You will see, let's say, the Minister of Defense or whoever will come on a visit a community that has just been attacked and will shed tears. He will shed tears. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening, and this is going to be the last this will ever happen. After saying it, 3 days later, another attack will happen in the very same community. He will come back again, because his tears do not run dry. His tears are everlasting. He will come back again and shed another tears and tell you that this time is the last time, and it will happen again. This is what they have been doing in Jos. This is what they have been doing in Benue State. When Shetima was governor of Borno State, he went to Buhari. It was televised. He went to Buhari, knelt down, and was pleading, "Please come and help my state." Buhari did nothing, and that was it. Done. Tomorrow he will say we took bold steps to curtail the evils of Boko Haram, and by bold steps he means he went to Buhari and did this performative pleading. Earlier this year, Congress held a hearing in which the Minister on Foreign Affairs Africa Subcommittee called for the same, but the list has not been updated since December 2023. Newsweek contacted the State Department via online contact form for comments on this. At the time of this hearing in March, Nigeria's government spoke out against it in a statement that said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs wishes to express strong concern over the recent wave of misinformation and misleading reports regarding the supposed targeted killings of Christians in Nigeria. The unfortunate development is intended to influence foreign governments, especially the United States government, to designate Nigeria a country of particular concern due to the violence against Christians. While the federal government acknowledges the insecurity challenges confronting the nation, it is imperative to clarify that these negative activities are not driven by religious bias. The lie. The blatant lie, are not driven by religious bias, nor targeted against any particular religious group, it added. Sheikh Husani, a former senator in Nigeria, made similar posts on Sunday when he spoke out against Maher's comments directly on Nigeria's channel's television Politics Today, reported by a local newspaper, Punch. It's important people understand this is Sheikh Husani speaking now. This is what he had to say when he was on Channel's News. It is important that people understand that as far as bandits, that's one of the names we call them in this country, that's the name our politicians call them, bandits and terrorists are concerned, they do not discriminate their victims on the basis of their faith. Sani said, Muslims, just like Christians, are killed by bandits and terrorists. They attack churches and mosques. They kill pastors, priests, and imams. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He went on to argue, based on his observation in the Senate, his observation of the lack thereof, that Christians may seem disproportionately targeted. At least he's going to admit, finally, at least, he's going to admit that Christians are disproportionately targeted because lawmakers from Christian parts of the country were more likely to raise an alarm on the issue of these attacks and the suffering of their people than Muslim leaders for political reasons. Shehu, I want to read this again. I want to read it, and I want you guys to pay attention to this. He's pointing out something very important. He went on to argue that based on his observation in the Senate, that's in the Nigerian Senate, Christians may seem disproportionately targeted. He said why we seem disproportionately targeted is because lawmakers from Christian parts of the country we are more likely to raise an alarm on the issue of these attacks and the suffering of their people than Muslim leaders for political reasons. Now, there are so many things that are wrong with this statement. One is Christian leaders in Nigeria, Christian leaders, especially the ones who are lawmakers, Christian lawmakers or lawmakers from the Christian part of Nigeria are not affected by the attacks of jihadists. Their areas, their region is not being affected. The regions that they come from are not being affected by these attacks. The people that are being affected by these attacks are Muslim lawmakers, the lawmakers from the north. They are the ones that are being affected by this more. How many jihadist attacks have taken place in Enugu? How many jihadi attacks have taken place in Lagos? How many jihadi attacks have taken place in Delta State, Nigeria? How many have taken place in Abia State, in Imo State, in Anambra State, in Delta State, in Edo State? How many of them are taking place in those places? None, almost next to none. Where they take place is in northern part of the country that have Muslim representatives. In fact, they ensure that they have Muslim representatives. If you're a Christian, your chance of succeeding politically in northern Nigeria is slim to none. So who are the people raising alarm? He said that what he's saying is categorically false. But if it is true, let's say it is true. He said Muslim leaders do not raise this as a political issue do not raise this as an issue for political reasons. What are the political reasons for which, when Muslims are killed in the north by Boko Haram, Muslim political leaders do not raise it up as an issue? Why can't they criticize attacks that somehow happen to affect Muslims? Why don't they raise it for political? What are the political reasons? What is that political reason? It's simple. If you make it an issue, you will lose your election. Muslims in your constituency will not vote for you. You guys are familiar with Deborah Yakubu. Deborah Yakubu was a 19-year-old student from Sokoto who was killed by a mob of Muslims for alleged blasphemy. When that happened, some Muslim leaders in the north went off script and decided to condemn the lynching of Deborah. They forgot for a moment that they were trying to get the Muslim vote. So in that moment of forgetfulness, they were caught up in the crowd, caught up in the trend, and they decided to express their dissatisfaction in what happened in Sokoto. When they did, they faced serious backlash from Muslims, and they had to come back and apologize for condemning the attack. Those who did it via tweet had to delete their tweets. In fact, so many of them were told online that because of they lent their voice and condemned the attack and condemned the lynching, that they will not win that this will be the end of their political aspiration. They were told that vehemently and publicly by Muslim leaders from the north. That's why we say in Nigeria that the Muslims are okay with killing themselves. They are fine with it. They're fine with it. They're okay with it. It's an internal affair. It's his brothers and sisters. There's a statement we say, it is brothers and sisters fighting. That's how we put it in this. Oh, brothers and sisters are fighting. Allow them. They are okay with it. So that is why it is important to highlight the fact that we Christians are not okay with it. We are not okay with being slaughtered and massacred in northern Nigeria. We are not okay with it. U.S. Representative Christopher Smith, the African Subcommittee chairman, painted a different picture during the Congress hearing in March, saying, make no mistake, all of these attacks are based on religion. Exactly. Like I said, and diverting attention from it denies what we have seen with our own eyes. This is religious cleansing. And this is the goal. This is the goal. This is the goal. This is the aim, to rid northern Nigeria of Christians. In fact, it's not just to rid northern Nigeria of Christians. It's to rid the entire country of Christians. That has been the goal. Since the jihad of Uthman Danfodio, that has been the goal. Before the British ever set foot on this part of the world, that has been the goal. In fact, the British came and halted the movement and thwarted their jihad. But that has always been the goal, and they have been desiring it. That is what they want. And you can read the rest of the articles and see how Nigerian ministers and former senators we are talking about, especially the one from the north, the Muslim ones, are trying to defend themselves. But here's the reality. Here's the reality, and I don't want anyone to miss this. This is the reality of what is happening in Nigeria. This is the reality. 7,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria this year. This is the reality. Before we proceed, let me take a moment to do my usual self-promotion. Let me try and promote myself. Please, guys, if you are joining us and you're not yet subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Please smash that like button. Destroy it, okay? Destroy the like button. subscribe to the channel, destroy the like button, especially the one in the live chat, that one that shows the love this thing flying. Just destroy all of that and let the algorithm know that you really are enjoying what you are seeing, so that they can push it to more people, so that we can have more people join the live stream and join the conversation. Okay, let us do all of that. And please support the channel. Let me see your super chats. Okay, please flood them in, all the super chats. Let me see them. If they do not, if YouTube is not recognizing your ATM card, go to buymeacoffee.com/NIG perspective and dump all your money there. Dump all of it. Just empty your wallet over there. Okay, do it for Sharia, do it for jihad, do it for just dump all the money. Okay, just give me that money. Okay, just please remember, commit jihad on the like button, subscribe, do all of that, and also give me your money. Pay me easier. Okay, and give me a second as well. Let me check something. I'll be back shortly, very shortly. All right, I am back. Told you I'll be back very shortly, and I am back, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk about the reality in Nigeria, the obvious reality in Nigeria, visible to everyone, except, Nigerian politicians. The people who claim to not see it are Nigerian politicians, but everyone else can see it. Okay? And what is the reality? 7,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria this year. And I'm very sure that it is more than that. I'm very sure it is way more than that. This is the ones that we can track. So here's the news. Here's what the news article have to say. More than 7,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria during the first 220 days of 2025, a civil society watchdog said. This is an average of 35 killings a day. 35 killings a day. That means every day in Nigeria this year, 35 Christians, an average of 35 Christians have been killed. According to the recent, that is an average of 35 killings a day, according to the recent report published by the Nigerian-based human rights NGO, International Society for Civil Liberties and the Rule of Law. Newsweek have contacted the Nigerian Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and National Human Rights Commission via email for comments. Why it matters. Nigeria has long been an epicenter of Christian persecution, with more Christians killed for their faith in Nigeria than in the rest of the world combined, according to human rights organization Open Door, which monitor the persecution of Christians around the globe. The violence have displaced at least 12 million Christians. How many Christians, not live Christians, how many Muslims and people have been displaced in Gaza? How many? Compare that to and this is not the displacement that gives you the access to iPhone 17, where you can post your displacement on social media so that the world can see that you're actually being displaced. This is the kind of displacement that leave you bankrupt. You have nothing. You are you're essentially running for your life, and you have nothing to hang on to. Nothing. No aid is coming your way. Nothing. No one is paying attention to what is happening to you. Nothing. 12 million Christians since 2009 have been displaced. This year marks the start of Boko Haram. This year marked the start of Boko Haram insurgency to establish a caliphate in Nigeria and the brother Maher. How many years? This year marked the start. How does it? I don't even understand that statement. Anyway, in the 16 years since, the Inter-Society estimated that 189 civilians have been killed, 125,000 of whom were Christians, and 60,000 are liberal Muslims. The Inter-Society report said that 7,000 Christians were killed in Nigeria between January 1st and August 10th, and that 7,800 others were abducted in the same period. Think about that. 7,000 killed and 7,000 more abducted, kidnapped, and used to get ransom, so that the jihadists can continue to fund their activity. The report identifies Benue State in Nigeria's Middle Belt as among the hardest hit, with at least 1,100 deaths, including the Yelewata massacre in June, where 280 Christians were killed. Nigeria is headquartering and providing safe haven for no fewer than 22 embryonic and full-grown Islamic terror groups in Africa, with links to potentially with potential links to ISIS, ISIL, and the World Jihad Fund, the report said. Let me read that again. Nigeria is headquartering and providing safe haven for no fewer than 22 embryonic and full-grown Islamic terror groups in Africa. That in fact, we need to give a round of applause to Nigeria and the Nigerian government. This is to show how effective they have been in being complicit. They should take, and they should be awarded the most complicit government in the world at this point. The Middle Belt and Northern states are especially volatile, with Islamic militant groups like Boko Haram, Fulani extremists, and ISWAP, that is Islamic State of West African Province, targeting Christian communities through mass killings, kidnappings, and church burnings. While Nigeria legally offers more religious freedom than other countries on open doors watch lists, that's the thing. That's one thing Nigeria have mastered. We have mastered the act of having a facade of freedom, a facade of democracy, a facade of liberalism. We've mastered it. In the open, there's religious freedom in Nigeria. The Constitution recognizes freedom of religion. It's entrenched in our Constitution. But when you get down to it, you realize that there is no religious freedom in this country, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, where Sharia law is enforced. When I say Sharia law is enforced in northern Nigeria, I'm not saying like we have Sharia courts in the UK. No. I mean, it is legally recognized. They use what they call the penal code. The penal code in northern Nigeria is essentially a form of Sharia law. That is the criminal legislation in most northern Nigerian states, about 12 of them. The U.S. Department of State's report on terrorism in Nigeria in 2023 highlighted that ISIS West Africa, Boko Haram, and Ansaru, that's the third split of Boko Haram, Ansaru are active there, carrying out attacks against carrying out attacks against Nigerian government and security forces and civilians across the country's northern and central region. The Nigerian government have previously dismissed some claims about specific groups operating in the country, including in June, when a Defense Department spokesperson, Major General Marcos, pushed back against the Turkish ambassador's claim that the terrorist group FETO is active in Nigeria. Even Turkey is like, you have this, and of course Nigeria is going to keep denying. Nigeria is one of the Nigeria is, anytime you see our government deny something, there is a likelihood that it is 100% true. I remember, I've forgotten the year, we were planning to have an Independence Day celebration in Nigeria, and the US warned that there was going to be a terror attack on that day. And the Nigerian government dismissed it and said the US does not know what it's talking about, that the US intelligence organization don't know what they're talking about, and they're just spreading fear. They said it. The Nigerian government came out and said that the US intelligence organization don't know what they are talking about, that there's not going to be any terror attack on that day. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? On that day, Independence Day, I've forgotten the year, there was a terror attack in Nigeria. On that day, there was a terror attack. There was a car bombing. And it was the terror attack took place close to where the Independence Day parade was taking place. So whenever the Nigerian government come out and they tell you, whatever international, whatever foreign government is saying is not true, the likelihood is that they are lying. They are lying. This person said that the Nigerian military does not recognize the group and has not received any credible intelligence to support the claim, according to local newspaper, the Nigeria Lawyer. Newsweek have contacted Nigeria National Counter-Terrorism Center via email for comments. What people are saying, then you see all the anyways, moving on. Let me play this. I don't know where this is taking place, but this is a bishop from northern Nigeria. I don't know where this is happening, but here he is giving a report of what is happening in northern Nigeria.
Wilfred Chikbana would appear here as the bishop, the Catholic Bishop of Makurdi Diocese, the capital of Benue State.
Okay, bishop from Makurdi. Makurdi is in Benue State. Remember we talked about Benue State and how it has constantly been attacked this year. Like over 1,100 have been killed this year alone due to Islamic terrorist activities. And here is a bishop from Makurdi, the capital city of Benue State.
Nigeria. I am the shepherd of one of the 4 dioceses, Catholic dioceses in Benue. We have others, Anglican, Methodist, and Pentecostals, which sort of them. Benue State has a population of about 6.1 million people, 2 million of whom are those under my care as the bishop of the diocese. Benue State is about 98% Christian, with very few Muslims living in towns.
So Benue State is 98% what? Christian. Keep that in mind. Benue State is 98% Christian.
Nigeria and eventually my diocese and the state of Benue have become, in recent years, one of the most dangerous and insecure places for Christians. Christians and Muslims are nearly evenly divided among Nigeria's large population of over 200 million persons. Islamist extremists are fiercely contesting the possession, control, and governing law of the land, especially in the country's northern and central regions, the latter of which is where Benue is located. There are constant ethnic, political, and religious conflicts over land and allegiance. Constitutionally, we are a secular country, but our unity has been fragile. Political and religious actions and even public speech have been carefully managed to avoid accusations of religious bias.
In fact, as a matter of fact, we should not. I don't think Nigeria is we can really say Nigeria is a secular country at this point. It is not, and I will say this is why it's a country that allows Sharia law, especially in 12 states. A country that allows Sharia law in 12 states cannot claim to be a secular country. Okay, the secular laws only apply in southern Nigeria. In the north, there is no secular society there. It is a religious society in the north. Okay, so.
And political tensions. Today, the clear influence of Islamist extremists has changed the traditional social dynamics of tribe, ethnicity, religion, and the social status in Nigeria. Because just recently, at the beginning of the Ramadan fast, 12 states in northern Nigeria have declared closed schools so that they attend to this. And you can imagine, which other country in the world does that? Saudi Arabia is not doing it. Afghanistan is not doing it. Baghdad is not doing it. But then Nigeria is present.
No, Nigerian Muslims are of a different breed. Nigerian Muslims, the Muslims in Nigeria are more. See, I kid you not. I feel the Muslims in Nigeria are more fanatical than any other group I've ever. As in, like, if you're going to report on Nigerian Muslims and what they do, they even we in Nigeria, like, even Saudi Arabia is not doing this one. Even Baghdad is not going to the extent you people go to. Like the average northern Muslim, during Ramadan fast, during the whole 30 days, think about it, the whole 30 days of Ramadan fast is declared a public holiday in northern Nigeria. Whole 30 days. Schools are closed. Where has this ever happened? Where has this ever happened? And then they put out notice. This is one here. I don't know if you mentioned it. Many of these states put out notice that you should not eat in public. Some of these states, especially in Kano, I think Kano and Kaduna, I think Kano most especially, put out notice. The Arewa, whatever, Muslim organization, put out a notice that people should not eat in public during Ramadan. Whether you are a Muslim or not, don't eat in public because Muslims are fasting.
What kind of Islam are they practicing? 12 states, and not only Muslims are living in these places. What happens to the educational program or curriculum of the country? But this is what.
Exactly. What is going to happen to the education of people when you go 30 days, no school? No, not 30 days, schools are closed. What about the Christians in that area? Christians, I know they're a minority in northern Nigeria, but there are still people in northern Nigeria. They still exist. They too have to go without schooling for 30 days.
We are going through every day in Nigeria. A long-term Islamic agenda to homogenize the population has been implemented over several presidencies through a strategy to reduce and eventually eliminate the Christian identity of half of the population. This strategy includes both violent and non-violent actions, such as the exclusion of Christians from positions of power and adoption of such church members, the raping of women, the killing and exploitation of Christians.
You see, there's something he said. Like I said earlier, in northern Nigeria, if you are a Christian, your political, and you want to get into politics, the chances of you succeeding is slim to none. In northern Nigeria, the chances of you succeeding as a Christian politician is slim to none. Even to get a political appointment, even there are certain jobs in government jobs you will not get. I'm even talking about jobs and even university, like I am. What's now this university in Kaduna? ABU's Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. The likelihood of you getting into Ahmadu Bello University Zaria as a Christian who is also not from the north is very, very unlikely.
The destruction of churches and farmlands of Christian farmers, followed by the occupation of such lands by the Fulani herders, and also changing the names of these villages. They are taking over the places. So you clearly see an expansionist approach and Islamic. And then they are making the people now flee and leave their villages and they conquer it. The quest to Islamize the land appears high on the agenda of some of the powerful and influential Muslims in Nigeria. There is a campaign to take land to spread Islam. And there is the hemorrhaging of Christian farmers from the central region of Nigeria and Benue State, Makurdi Diocese in particular, as they are forced to abandon fertile lands that used to feed the nation, which classify Benue as the food basket of the nation.
Think about that. Benue is known as the food basket of the nation. That's like the slogan of the state because they have very fertile farmland in Benue State. It's known as the food basket of the nation. And that is where jihadists are attacking to take away people's land and their source of livelihood and chase them away and drive them away. This is happening systematically. And it's a known thing. This is known. This is not something that is happening in hiding. Many of the people who go and attack these villages are not even from nearby. Many of them are from far, far north. Some of them are not even some of them are from Niger. They leave Niger and come to claim land and they are allowed to. It has been happening systematically. The goal now is to turn Benue and Jos, to drive out the Christians in Benue and Jos, and to make it a Muslim majority state. The next thing they know is by the time they become Muslim majority, they say, "Oh, we want Sharia. We want the what's it called now? The penal code. That's Sharia law that is at first in 12 states. It's going to include Jos, Plateau State and Benue State. That is the goal. That is what these people are trying to achieve."
Militant Fulani herdsmen are terrorists destroying society. They steal and vandalize, they kill and boast about it. They kidnap and rape, and they enjoy total impunity from the elected authorities. None of them have been arrested and brought to justice.
Facts. None of these Fulani herdsmen, where are they? Where are they? It's as if they are ghosts at this point. Like, who are they? Who are they? Where are they?
This is supported by the corrupt system in which we operate and the abject poverty among us, which allow the criminal to easily attract more recruits and prey on more victims. Why is this happening? Is it really a religious war? Like in the past, many jihadists are motivated less by religion than by spoils of war and use their religion to impose themselves. In my diocese, the spoils consist mainly of fertile, well-tended land organized around my parishes or so. The jihadists come and adopt and kill the priests, leaving thousands without support and basic human services. And of course,
it's important to mention what he said. They come, attack, and kill priests. Catholic priests. In fact, most of the people who have been attacked, like Catholics have faced more of the attack because Catholic priests in northern Nigeria are often abducted, kidnapped, killed. Some of them, when they are kidnapped, they ask the diocese for ransom. This is constantly happening in northern Nigeria. Catholic priests especially are being targeted. Catholic dioceses are being attacked. Their parishes are set on fire, burnt to ashes. People in those communities are driven out. Fulanis will come and even steal the pin in your house. Loot everything. And there is no female that they see that they will not try to sexually assault.
When they disperse the people, the inhabitants, or the citizens, or the people of the lands, they take over. And any attempt to go back and take care of your farms, surely you get killed. The Makurdi Diocese in Benue State has been the epicenter of the invasion by these herders, who are more like hired guns of cattle oligarchies, who manipulate religion to rally the herders to eliminate the Christian population and cleanse the land in the name of Islam. This objective is behind the relentless attacks against Benue's villages. When we call for help to the police and the army, they do not come. At the end of 2024, several villages were warned by the attackers of the upcoming violence, and the leaders called the police for defense ahead of time, but they did not come.
Are you listening to what he's saying? He's saying, sorry, the audio is kind of, the video is kind of, from the video end is kind of frozen. So I'll try to use another player to play it. But he's saying here that even when societies like these communities that are being attacked are aware that the attackers are going to come, they inform the police. They're like, police, see, this is about to happen. And the police do not show up. The police do not show up. And now you may not know something about the police in Nigeria. The police in Nigeria is not controlled by the state governors. The state governors do not control the police. We have a federal police system. So the police is controlled by the federal government. And the federal government controlled police chooses to do nothing, even when they are informed ahead of time that these Fulanis are coming, that these jihadists are coming to our community. They want to raid our community. Come and help us. The police do not show up. This is the reality in Nigeria. Give me a second. Let me try to reshare this and I use something better. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me use something better so that this will play well.
I am Wilfred Chikbana, but not appear here as the bishop, the Catholic bishop of Makurdi Diocese, killing hundreds in Plateau and killed the priests, leaving thousands without support and basic human services. And of course, when they disperse the people or the citizens or the people of the lands, they take over. And any attempt to go back and take care of your farms, surely you get killed. The Makurdi Diocese in Benue State has been the epicenter of the invasion by these herders who are more like hired guns of cattle oligarchies, who manipulate religion to rally the herders to eliminate the Christian population and cleanse the land in the name of Islam. This objective is behind the relentless attacks against Benue's villages. When we call for help...
There's somebody in the comments who is asking me a very, very stupid question. The question they cannot answer is, why are the herders doing the same thing to Muslims? More Muslims have been killed by herders. Zamfara and Katsina states are Muslim states. Usman Abdullahi, can you answer the question for me, Usman? And I want you to answer this very well. You said that these herders are also attacking Zamfara and Katsina states. Share with me a link of headers. At first, that's the first thing I want you to do. Share with me a link of headers attacking Zamfara and Katsina. That's the first thing I want you to do. Secondly, tell me why most of the attacks are happening in Benue and Jos. Are you going to deny the fact, Usman Abdullahi, are you going to deny that most of the attacks are not happening in Jos, in Plateau, in Bokos? That most of these attacks are not happening in Bokos and in Benue State? Are you going to deny that? What do you think you're talking to, a Nigerian that don't live in Nigeria, that doesn't live in Nigeria? Tell me, give me a recent attack by Fulani headsmen in Zamfara and Katsina. Give me link to that. Give me the link to that, and I'll put it here, and I'll keep quiet. You've won. It's true. They attack Muslims. Give me a recent this year attack in Zamfara and Katsina. You mentioned Zamfara and Katsina. Something that happens once in when? When was the last time there was an attack in Katsina? When was the last time there was an attack in Zamfara? And even those attacks are going on in the Christian community. Don't pretend like this is not true. Abdullahi, you're going to act like headers are not attacking Christians, like they're not specifically targeting Christians and Christian communities in the north, that most of their kills are not Christians, and people they are trying to drive out are not Christians. The question we cannot answer is, why is it happening in Katsina? Nobody is denying that it happens in Katsina. It's how often does it happen in Katsina? How often does it happen in Zamfara? There was a period in this year that in less than 2 weeks there were like up to 4 attacks in Bokos, one community, up to 4 attacks in one community. How many attacks have we seen in Benue State? Yeah, you're talking about what was the thing you said? The question I cannot answer. Something is wrong with you, my dear. Something is very, very fundamentally, essentially wrong with you.
To the police and the army, they do not come. At the end of 2024, several villages were warned by the attackers of the upcoming violence, and the leaders called the police for defense ahead of time. But they did not come, and the Christian massacres, almost customary, took place, killing hundreds in Plateau and Benue, with the worst massacre claiming 47 people. The militants also burned down the 8 Catholic churches of St. Mary's Parish in the Diocese of Boko, which in Benue State, as well as the parish house, clinic, schools, and other houses. The militant Fulani herdsmen bear on defenseless villagers without consequences. They follow orders to conquer, kill, and occupy. They attack even those who have managed to escape into our IDP camps. Thereby, they have no place to run to. And it is
think about that. People get displaced from their towns and their communities, and they go to international displacement camps, IDP, international internally displaced persons camp. Imagine that in your own country, you are, you can't be called a refugee, but you are internally displaced. You can't be called a refugee, so they call you internally displaced people. You have left your community, you are now homeless. And yet these terrorists pursue you to the IDP camps to slaughter you.
Unfortunate that the police system in Nigeria, orders have to come from above. And so the ones there's a call, and they say they have never responded. And by the time they arrive, these people have left, and the people are now living in the pool of their blood.
This is normal. There was one that happened in Enugu, as close to the south as Enugu. Enugu is the state bordering. Enugu shares a border with Anambra, Kogi State, and Benue State. So there was a time there was a Fulani attack in Enugu. Now the governor of Enugu then was aware that this attack was going to take place. The governor called the police and told the police, see, I have been made aware that there's about to be an attack in this particular local government. The governor was aware. See, this is going to happen in this community. Do something about it. The police did nothing about it. And the reason the police gave for not doing anything about it was they did not receive order from above. Because the police in Nigeria do not answer to the state governor. They answer to the president. They answer to the IGP, Inspector General of Police, from headquarters in Abuja. So because the IGP and those in Abuja did not give any order, the police did not go to safeguard a community that was facing imminent threat of jihadist attack. When societies, let me tell you how bad this is. When some of these communities that are constantly being attacked try to arm themselves and fight back, they are told not to do that they are going to escalate the conflict. This is what happens in it. They are told they're not told by people around, they're told by the government. Do not take up arms to defend yourself. You are going to escalate the conflict. So essentially, just stay and allow yourself to be slaughtered. That's the best way to de-escalate.
What I have recounted above is happening not only in Benue State. I believe our experience in Benue is symptomatic of what is happening elsewhere in large parts of Nigeria. The experience of the Nigerian Christians today can be summed up as that of a church under Islamist extermination. It is frightening to live there. Apart from the violent campaigns and attacks against Christian villages.
Uthman said, I'm only aware of what is happening in Benue State. Uthman, I'm aware that there's also attacks in Kaduna State. I know that Kaduna State, for the most part, when we talk about the high rate of insecurity in Nigeria, one of the states that come to mind is Kaduna. And you're going to tell me Kaduna is in the north, but you have to answer this question. When Kaduna is being attacked by jihadists, who do they attack in Kaduna? Who did they attack in Kaduna? And who is carrying out the attack? And who have defended those carrying the attack? What is the name of this? What's the name of this imam that went to Iran? What's his name? Abdullah, remind me his name. You should know him. He should be your friend. What's the name of this imam that has been to Iran? That said that if Nigerian government want to deal with the problem of insecurity, they have to be ready to negotiate with kidnappers. He's an imam. That's what he was saying. And that he's known to be a negotiator. Popular imam. I've forgotten his name. He's known to be a negotiator with kidnappers, with Fulani kidnappers, with Islamist kidnappers. Abdullah, remind me of the person's name. You should know him. You should know him, Abdullah. Come on, tell me. You should know him. He should be one of your very good friends. And I'm so happy to see that all your replies had nothing to do with what I asked you for. I said, give me the link of the Christians, of the Muslims with the Muslim community that have been targeted by jihadists and Fulani headsmen in Katsina and Zamfara this year. You've not given me any example other than to say that I'm doing performative stupidity and whatever. I'm happy to see that you are waxing eloquent in the live chat. Oh, thank you. Sheikh Gumi. Thank you for finally reminding me of that great man. Sheikh Gumi. Abdullah, does that name ring a bell? Do you remember Sheikh Gumi? Do you remember Sheikh Gumi, Abdullah? Abdullah, this is not the answer to my question. Why are you asking me to go and ask people in Katsina? I thought you're the one who brought it up. Eh? I thought you're the one who brought it. You should be able to answer. Don't ask me to go and ask people. You are the one who is here. Give me the evidence. I don't know why I'm wasting my time with you now. Let me continue listening to what I'm listening to.
There are now attempts by the Islamic Council of Nigeria and various Islamic groups to impose Sharia law on the Christian populations. Already, 12 states in the north of Nigeria are under this sectarian religious law and attempts to extend the same to the south of Nigeria, which they have started. This month, governors in the north decided appropriately to close all schools and education institutions during the months of Ramadan, leaving millions of students without learning opportunity for 5 weeks. We live in fear because at any point it can be our turn to be killed, but to remain silent is to die twice. So I have chosen to speak. I speak on behalf of the millions who are in the camps. In Benue State, in Makurdi Diocese alone, in my diocese, I have about 9 camps. 9. On the 5th of March, which was Ash Wednesday, we visited one of the camps, and many of my priests and religious went to the other camps to distribute them to begin the Ash Wednesday with our faithful who are there, because we are the voice of the voiceless. We have to talk for the defenseless. We have to talk about the weak and those who cannot talk about themselves. In one of the camps called the Mega Camp, there were over 3,000 inmates of that camp, and which was a record given to us by government. I speak on behalf of them and those children who have no husband, who have no father, and even their own voice is taken away by the politicians who promise to help them, but have become the willing tools of the jihadists because they are talking politically correct statements.
What BA just said is one of the problems. And this is what that's what Abdullah is demonstrating. Uthman Abdullahi, that's what he's demonstrating in the comments. This is one of the things we see from Muslims in Nigeria, especially the ones who claim to be sensible, but clearly are not. When you point out the fact of what Muslims are doing in the north and how this is a problem and how they are systematically killing Christians, none of them are going to come out and say, we condemn what is happening. Oh, this should not be happening. We condemn it. No, instead they're going to tell you, oh, it's not Christians. It's not just Christians. They're also killing Muslims. Last week in my village, one Muslim stabbed another Muslim. You are not going to cover that. It's when they stab Christians that you pay attention. That's what they get. That's what they tell you. Instead of saying, oh, this is terrible and we need to condemn it. They will not condemn it. They will not. Instead, they will try to excuse it, try to come up with distractions, telling you that, hey, it also happened to Muslims. It also happened to Muslims. That is what we are dealing with now. That is like somebody telling me that Hamas also attack Gazans. Therefore, they're not trying to exterminate Jews. That's essentially what this person in the comments is trying to prove to me. It's like telling me, oh, do you know that you are claiming that Hamas is trying to carry out genocide against Israel, Jews in Israel. But most of the people that Hamas have killed are Gazans, Muslims, Gazans. So how does that prove that is what they are trying to do? That's the game that Abdullah is trying to play here. Oh, they kill Muslims. So does that mean that? How does that prove that they are trying to attack Christians? That's the game he's playing here. That's the game they keep playing. The last thing they will ever do is say, look, this is a problem and we do not support this. This is bad and we hope this will stop. We condemn these groups. No, because these groups are doing exactly what they want, what Abdullah wants them to do. He's going to come in my live chat and pretend like, oh, I'm getting my facts wrong.
For next elections to come. I speak on behalf of those whose loved ones have been killed, but no one has even offered a word of consolation to them. I speak on behalf of the thousands of young girls who have been adopted and raped because no one, not even the media, mentions them anymore. Foremost, I speak on behalf of my flock who are unable to worship freely and unable to return to their ancestral farms and homes because that land has been ruthlessly taken from them by the armed herdsmen. And where they say they want to live in peace with the natives, if you must farm, you have to pay tax to hire the land which belongs to you.
That is true. They take over the area, and then when you, the native of the land, wants to farm in your land, you have to pay tax to them. What is that tax called? Abdullah, what is that tax called? Come on, tell us. You should know the name. It starts with J and ends with A.
To you, that is slavery, to say the least about it. As prosperous Nigeria is in African continent, and I tell you, if there's outbreak of war in Nigeria, no country around us, Chad, Niger, Ghana, Guinea, Togo, no country can contain the population that will flee these places. No country can be able to house over 5 million refugees. It's not possible because of that. And if 1 million refugees run to Chad and Niger, they'll collapse that country because there'll be no plan to take care of them. So we have to be very careful. Today, I urge you all to use every means within your mandate to start developing a strong and good relationship with Nigeria, where you know that when you speak of human dignity, you are also speaking of the same God-given right you believe is unalienable. Consider that Nigeria can be your ally, but it cannot be one where half the population is in the process of being murderously.
All right, Usman, I see that. Let me address you lastly before I put you on timeout, because now you are annoying me. I want to ask you this question. Are there groups in Nigeria that systematically target, just, I know you may say it's not all of them, and it's not most of the attack, but at least just this is your moment of complete honesty. Tell me, try to be honest for once. Are there Islamic terrorist groups in Nigeria? That's one. Two, do most of these Islamic terrorist groups specifically target Christians? For example, Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Ansaru, do they specifically target Christians? Don't tell me, oh, they killed a Muslim one time. I know they killed a Muslim one time. One time they were walking down the street and their car accidentally jammed a Muslim. I know about that. But tell me, do they specifically target Christians? Do they stop a bus that is traveling and separate the Christians from the non-Christians and kill the Christians? Do they do this? Just be honest for once. For once, try and not be like Muhammad and be honest.
Eliminated. Work with us, the churches, and other Nigerians of goodwill. We are working for a peaceful and prosperous society, and our desperate plight has been set aside U.S. policy for too long, to the cost of thousands of lives. Concretely, I request and I plead, I ask you to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. This has both a practical and diplomatic meaning to signal that you are paying attention to what happens to us and elsewhere in the world, because the policies the government is trying to put in place, so that to return the IDPs, build camps for them, relocate them from their homes, it is not durable and it will not work, because the government.
Even the so-called Muslims that they kill, especially like Boko Haram, when they attack Muslims, this is one of the things that Boko Haram is known for doing. They also attack Muslims, but they are not attacking. They are attacking Muslims based on religious reasons. It's not, oh, they're just attacking Muslims because the goal of these people is just to cause insecurity in the land. They just have their objective is just, these people make it look like these Islamic terrorist groups, their goal is just to kill. They desire to just kill. It's just killing, that is what they do. They just desire to kill and loot. No, it is systematic and they have targets. They will not mention that. Even when Boko Haram kill Muslims, it is Muslims that will not join them or Muslims that will not support them. They believe that if a Muslim will not support them in their fight on the way of Allah, fight for the cause of Allah, that these people are not true Muslims. So any Muslim society or community that will not support them, they attack. That is why they attack Muslims. But their major target, their primary target, is Christians. That's like arguing that the apostasy war that happened immediately after the death of Muhammad was not religiously motivated. That's like saying, oh, didn't Abu Bakr kill Muslims?
Has already the population that is not able to take care of, and then you have over millions of people in the camps, and they want to relocate them to where? And if you do, let's take that you do. How many houses or rooms will you give me who has 5 children, another one has 3, another one has 2, and what will they be doing for a living? These people previously never begged anybody for food. They were managing their lives, training their children, and building their homes. So nobody should have deceived also the guys that are going to resettle the IDPs. They have no jobs. So here you say them what to be their place. And by the way, the fundamental question remains: if you resettle them to other camps or build places for them, what happens to their ancestral lands? Who takes care of them? And this is whereby I feel the government is complicit on this issue, because these terrorists, Fulanis, displace and kill people and then occupy the place and then change names, nomenclatures of these towns. For what reason? So we want to let the people go back to their homes and help for them to rebuild their lives. I implore this august body to insist on the return and rehabilitation of all the IDPs to their ancestral lands, and not to relocate them to other constructed camps elsewhere, which is an invented solution now being pushed by the independent state government. And I tell you, Nigeria government can do that once they have to be accountable. Because I know Nigeria, under the auspices of EPOMOG, was able to reinstate constitutional government in Sierra Leone and Liberia, and they can do that now.
No. If it's that one, Nigerian military especially knows how to do peacekeeping mission in other countries. You send Nigerian military to Niger, you send them to Chad, you send them to other countries, and they would go and do peacekeeping mission. You understand? Our own charity happens abroad. It doesn't happen at home. So they know how to do peacekeeping mission in other countries, except their own. All right, let's talk about something else. You remember when what's his name? When Shetima, if you have been following us in the live stream, we watched where Shetima was talking about the value of human life and how it is not to be debated and how human life is precious and valuable. I hope you guys remember when Shetima was waxing poetic about the sanctity of human life and the dignity of human life and why human life should not be taken, indiscriminately for whatever reason. Remember when he was waxing poetic about that? All right. Let's talk about that human life and how it is being treated by Muslims in northern Nigeria. Let's talk about that human life. This is from Open Doors. More than 118 have been killed in the latest spate of deadly attacks in Nigeria. And Open Doors is asking for people to pray. Say, please pray. There have been yet more deadly attacks on mostly Christian communities in Nigeria. Please note that you might find some of the content below distressing. To find out how you can stand with our family in Nigeria through our Arise Africa campaign, including signing the petition, please scroll to the end. Okay. At least 118 people have been killed and more than 6,000 displaced after a spate of devastating attacks on mostly Christian villages in Benue State. Northern Nigeria, Benue State is not in northern Nigeria, it's in the Middle Belt, by suspected Fulani militants. The attack happened between the 8th and 14th of June, with the deadliest on 13 June, when a displacement camp numbering 400 people in Yelewata was attacked. So not only are they attacking people who are in their own town, who are in their ancestral land, in their native land, in their home, they are attacking people who have fled their home, people who are in displacement camps. They are attacking even those people. The militants were first resisted by the military, only for them to retreat to a market area where IDPs were taking refuge in storage facilities, shouting Allahu Akbar. They burnt the buildings and attacked people with guns and machetes. Some 200 people were killed and 5 injured. Earlier that day, 6 civilians and 3 soldiers were killed in separate incidents. They were shouting what now? Please bear in mind what they were shouting. They were shouting, I don't know. It shows you that it was not Islamic. The motivation was not Islamic, and they obviously we are targeting Muslims. That's why they were shouting Allahu Akbar. The first of this latest surge in attack occurred on 8th June in the village of Uday, when attackers shot dead 2 farmers and injured another as they walked on their field. On 11th June, 2 women were killed as they walked on their land near the village in this place. The next day, this person, an IDP, an internally displaced person, and protection volunteer with Foundation for Justice, Development and Peace, set out with 4 other youths to recover bodies, only for them to be ambushed and killed. So even the person going out to recover the bodies of those that have been killed was killed. Last Sunday, in this particular time of the year, thousands gathered in the street of Makurdi to protest the killing, while police firing tear gas to disperse them. Listen to us, we are tired. Please stop Benue killing, said a young woman at the protest. So even while they were protesting, the government attacked the protesters with tear gas. On Wednesday, the governor of Benue State said the state is now firmly under siege by terrorists. He added, of late, what we experience and what we see is more appalling. It is much stronger, way beyond farmer header crisis. We are being attacked by bandits and terrorists. The level of what we have experienced in the last 2 months is so much alarming. The State House of Assembly have said that the governor, his deputy, and 32 lawmakers have let the people down. I don't know how the state governor have let the people down when he doesn't even have control of the military. There is no way the state governor can protect his people because he does not have control over the police. He does not have control over the army. He has control over anything that has to do with security agency. I don't know how he has let his people down. What is he supposed to do? The best he can do is tell the federal government to help, and the federal government has not helped. And every day we have conversation in Nigeria about state police, and all of that goes, always goes sideways because people don't want that. On Wednesday, President Bola Tinubu visited the state and set up a committee to help restore sustainable peace to the region. Oh, of course, it has been very successful, you can imagine. Let's fashion out a framework for lasting peace, he said at a town hall meeting. I am ready to invest in that peace. I assure you, we will find peace. We will convert this tragedy into prosperity. Oh, stories. That is one example of how, human life is being valued in Nigeria. Here is another example of how human life is being valued in Nigeria. This is from the Punch News. 27 farmers killed in fresh plateau attack. At least 27 farmers, including men and women, have been reportedly killed in a fresh attack by gunmen in this community, in this local government area of Plateau State. Villagers said the attack, which occurred on Monday, also left many injured, with several rushed to hospitals, including the George University Teaching Hospital and Plateau Hospital. The chairman of the local government acknowledged the incident but could not give the casualty figure as of press time, saying he was on his way to the attacked community. Similarly, security agencies, including this one and the state police, have yet to issue any statement on the situation. This is another example of how human lives are being valued in Plateau State. And for Abdullah, I have one for you. You will love this one. This one will give you so much joy. Suspected headers kill pastors, 7 others in fresh plateau attack. Of course, you can see that they are targeting pastors because they are Muslims, of course. At least 8 people have lost their lives in fresh attack on communities in Bokos local government area of Plateau State. Remember when I said Bokos and Uthman could not say anything? Yeah, and here is Uthman letting us know that shouting Allahu Akbar proves nothing unless you can prove that they also shout Allahu Akbar when killing Muslims. Of course, powerful. At least 8 people have lost their lives in fresh attack on communities in Bokos local government area of Plateau State. It was gathered that the victims, including a pastor and 7 natives, were reportedly killed by suspected header militia. So this is like example of how human lives are being valued. Here's one that this one is like old news at this point, and this has nothing. This is just to show you this headline I'm about to share with you is just to show you the mindset of Muslims in northern Nigeria. This is just beyond Boko Haram and beyond the terrorists. This is just average Muslims just being Muslims in Nigeria. This is from the BBC, and this is reporting the killing of Deborah Samuel Yakubu. A 24-hour, this is a report. I'm sure Abdullah is familiar with this one. I hope you can explain to me, Abdullah, how this is just not religiously motivated. I hope this one will be a clear example of non-religious motivated killing. And of course, this one is not happening. This is not something that is done by Boko Haram or Islamists or Islamist terror groups among the 22 that are operating in Nigeria. This is by average Muslims. Some of them happen to be the classmates of Deborah's classmates. A 24-hour curfew has been declared in Sokoto, Nigeria, after protesters took to the street demanding the release of 2 suspects in the murder of a Christian student last week. Deborah Samuel. So now, guess what? The suspects who were those suspected for killing Deborah, there was a protest in Sokoto demanding that they be released. These are Muslims, so average or normal Muslims are not terrorists. There was think about it. Deborah was burnt alive, killed and burnt to ashes. And then the police arrested 2 suspects. And then there was protest for the release of those suspects. The protest was so fierce that a curfew had to be declared in Sokoto. Abdullah, what do you have to say about that? Deborah Samuel was beaten and burnt by Muslim students who accused her of posting blasphemous statements about Islam in a WhatsApp group on Tuesday. Her death has been widely condemned by Muslim and Christians across Nigeria, by Christians. Let's be honest, okay? Even Atiku, what's his name? Former Vice President Atiku tried to condemn the attack and later deleted his tweet where he was condemning the attack because Muslims, he received backlash from Muslims. On Saturday, demonstrators burnt tires and police fired tear gases. Some of the protesters besieged the palace of Mohammed Said Abubakar, the Sultan of Sokoto and the highest spiritual figure among Muslims in Nigeria. The Sultan had condemned the killing of Shehu Shagari College of Education and demanded those involved face justice. The killing at Shehu Shagari College of Education and demanded that those involved face justice. Announcing the curfew, Sokoto Governor Aminu Waziri Tamboa urged protesters, please, in the interest of peace, go back home. Nigeria is Africa's most populous country, and most people in its mainly Muslim north and largely Christian south are deeply religious. Religious tension and deadly clashes are not uncommon, particularly in the north, where some states have adopted strict Sharia law, including death sentence for blasphemy. Think about that. In northern Nigeria, blasphemy carries the death sentence. Uthman, is that a lie? If I was living in northern Nigeria by now, I would be dead. Okay, they will have so much joy in killing me. Uthman will be cheering the crowd. I assure you, he will be cheering the crowd, and then he will come on the next live stream he can find and tell you how peaceful Muslims are and how this is not targeted Christian attack. Here's another. Here's one that Uthman will use to prove his point, because this person in this news story happened to be a Muslim. In fact, the next one I'm going to show, the person in question happened to be a Muslim. Outrage after Nigerian accused of blasphemy is stoned to death. This happened in Nigeria. Okay, this is not happening in Nigeria. This happened in Sokoto. A man was stoned to death after being accused of blasphemy in northern Nigeria. Authorities and activists said, sparking outrage on Monday from rights groups worried about what they said is growing threats to religious freedom in the region. Usman Buddha, a butcher, was killed Sunday in Sokoto State, this district, after he allegedly blasphemed the Holy Prophet Muhammad during an argument with another trader in a marketplace. Police spokesman Ahmed Rufai said in a statement Sunday night. This is common practice in northern Nigeria, especially in Sokoto and other places like that. These people someone is accused of blasphemy, and before he even gets to the police station, he is stoned to death and killed. Usman Buddha, in this case, happened to be a Muslim. This is the sanctity of human life that's, what's his name? The vice president, Shetima, was talking about at the UN. Here's another example. This one happened not like last month. This one I'm about to show you happened last month, just as early as last month. Mob burns Nigerian woman to death for alleged blasphemy. A woman was burned to death by a mob in northern Nigeria. Come on, Niger State is not northern Nigeria; it's middle belt. It's kind of in the middle. It's not really that north, but anyways, northern Nigeria, Niger State. After she was accused of blaspheming the Prophet Muhammad, police have said. Police condemned the killing of the woman, identified in local media as a food vendor named Maher, and he said it's an act of jungle justice, saying that an investigation was underway to arrest and prosecute the perpetrators. Guess what? Nobody has been arrested. Local media quoted eyewitnesses as saying a man jokingly proposed marriage to the vendor, and her response was considered blasphemous by some people in the area. Unfortunately, it led to a mob attack, and she was set ablaze before a reinforcement of security team could arrive at the scene. At the scene, State Police spokesman Wasiu Abiodun said. He appealed to members of the public to remain calm and not to take the law into their own hands following the killing on Saturday in this town. Uthman, what do you have to say about this? And now there's another story. This one is very interesting. It's a very interesting story. This happened as far back as 2022, but the reason why I'm pointing this out is that, okay, not this one. Sorry, we've already looked at this one. Where is it? Where are you? Okay, it's this one. This happened as far back as 2020, but there's a reason why we are talking about it today, because this case is still ongoing. This one was not killed, but he was sentenced to death by a Sharia court in Kano State. A musician in Nigeria's northern state of Kano has been sentenced to death by hanging for blaspheming against Prophet Muhammad. An upper Sharia court in this place of the state, that's Kano State, said Yahaya Sharif Aminu, 22, was guilty of committing blasphemy for a song he circulated via WhatsApp in March. Mr. Sharif Aminu did not deny the charges, and so yeah, that's what happened. He was sent. Now here the case is still ongoing because he appealed the judgment to the Court of Appeal, and then he appealed. The case is in the Supreme Court. This is recently it has made it to the Supreme Court, and here is media coverage of what is going on. I want to play it to you so you can see so you can see how Muslims this average Muslims, this is average Muslims in northern Nigeria, and this is just how they behave, just so you can see the mentality that is not just extremist. It's the regular Muslim you see on the street of northern
Nigeria. Nigeria's Supreme Court on Thursday granted lawyers representing a musician sentenced to death for alleged blasphemy permission to file an appeal outside the legally prescribed time frame. Yahaya Sharif Aminu.
Can you imagine this guy? Hi, now you are shameless. It is very, very shameless. So you look at all of that and you're like, hey, jungle justice is common in Nigeria. Okay, that's what you're going to call. Tell me, it's common in Nigeria. Tell me where in southern Nigeria, where somebody was set on fire and burnt alive for blasphemy, for blaspheming against Jesus or the Holy Spirit or whatever. Tell me where it has happened in southern Nigeria, where religiously motivated lynching has happened. So you're going to chuck it all up as a jungle justice. This is just jungle justice. Senior Emma said, but Islam never said you should kill Christians. Are you serious? Oh yeah, let me give you some religious education. Surah 9, verse 29. Let's just go to Surah 9. Let's read the whole chapter so that you can. So let me give you Senior Emma. let me give you some religious education. Let me give you some religious education so you can understand what we're talking about. Now, this is Surah 9. This is the Quran. What we are reading right now is the Quran. Okay? Surah 9, verse 29. Fight those who do not believe in Allah and the last day, nor comply with what Allah and his messenger have forbidden, nor embrace the religion of truth from among those who we are giving the scriptures. Now, among those who we are giving the scriptures refer to the Jews and the Christians. So, and they are commanded here to fight those people. Fight them until they pay the tax, willingly submitting, fully humbled. So until that means they are to fight and to subdue Christians. Until we Christians accept our state as subjugated people and pay a jizya tax that's supposed to be a tax of humiliation. Now, you may wonder, why are they being commanded to fight Jews and Christians? Verse 30 tells you that the Jews say Ezra is the son of Allah, while Christians say the Messiah is the son of Allah. Such are their baseless assertions, only parroting the words of earlier disbelievers. May Allah condemn them. How can they be deluded from the truth? So they are saying the reason why we are to be killed is because we say Jesus the Messiah is the son of Allah. Because we say that, we should be killed. Allah has condemned us. Therefore, Muslims should fight us and subdue us. And then this is another accusation that is levied against us. They have taken their rabbis and monks, as well as the Messiah, son of Mary, as lords besides Allah. Even though they are commanded to worship none but one God, there is no God worthy of worship except him. Glorified is him above what they associate with him. This is the Quran. They wish to extinguish Allah's light with their mouth, but Allah will not allow his lights to be But Allah will only allow his light to be perfected, even to the dismay of the disbelievers. So do you see where there is a clear injunction from Muslims to fight Christians? And by fight, they don't mean, war of words. They don't mean to punch and then leave. This is not a by fight, they mean fighting with the sword. And in case you are a bit confused about how the fighting is going to take place, let me read Surah 9 verse 5 so you can understand how the fighting is going to take place. Maybe this is not, what I just read is not clear enough for you. Let me read Surah 9 verse 5 so you can see how the fighting is going to take place. This is Surah 9 verse 5. But once the sacred months have passed, kill the polytheists who violate their treaties. Now, this who violate their treaties is not in the original. This is put there. This is inserted here. So we are going to ignore these parts that have these marks over them because it's not there. It was inserted there by the translators. But once the sacred months have passed, kill the polytheists wherever you find them. Capture them, besiege them, lie in wait for them on every way. But if they repent, perform prayers, and pay armed tax, then set them free. By repenting, it means if they convert to Islam. In case you are wondering what repenting is, the only time a Muslim will leave a Christian, a Jew, or a polytheist is when they convert to Islam. So the rule in Islam is convert or die. So there you have it. And for Christians, it's convert or die or be subjugated. So I hope I have made it clear for you, Senior Emma. That's how pronouncing your name like a Nigerian.
Prescribed time frame. Yahya Sharif Aminu was convicted in 2020 by a Kano State Sharia court for allegedly making blasphemous remarks about the Prophet Muhammad. His legal team argued that the trial was flawed, citing the absence of legal representation during proceedings. Kala Alapini is Sharif Aminu's lawyer.
So the case, this is the report. This report is from Reuters, by the way. This report is from Reuters. And Reuters is covering the case, and they're like, of course, you're right. When he was tried in the Sharia court, he didn't have adequate representation. Even though he did, I don't think it would be of any effect. It's just 2 or 3 witnesses coming to say we had him blaspheme, and he himself did not deny it. So he's worthy of death, sentenced to death, and he has appealed. And this case has reached the Supreme Court. And here is what the lawyer of the accused had to say. And we are going to listen to the lawyer of the prosecution. The prosecution, we are going to listen to them. And you're going to hear what the prosecution has to say, so that you will understand the mindset of the average Muslim in northern Nigeria.
I must remember that he's still innocent. He's not guilty, because the death sentence was quashed about 4 years ago at the appellate division of the Kano State High Court.
Okay, yeah, it's another important thing to know that when the case went to the appellate court, the appeal court in Kano State, the decision, the blasphemy sentence was quashed. So he was discharged. But they still had to take the prosecution is taking the case to the Supreme Court, because they want this man dead by hanging. They want it.
And then we've gone all through the stairs of the various courts, and we're here now. He's still appealing. He's still stating his innocence, that he's not guilty. He doesn't want to go back to the Sharia court for a retrial.
The defense also challenged the constitutionality of sections of Kano State Sharia, or Islamic law, that prescribe capital punishment and amputation, arguing they conflict with Nigeria's secular constitution. Lamido Abbasarandinki.
That's the paradox that is Nigeria's legal system. The constitution of Nigeria recognizes religious freedom and says people have the right to the freedom of association and freedom of expression and all the freedoms that you can think of that is available in the UN Human Rights Charter. They are all in the Constitution of Nigeria. This is a liberal secular democracy. Yet it makes allowance for Sharia law.
He represents the Kano State government and defended the original verdict.
We will not condone it. Anybody that has uttered any words that touches the integrity of the Holy Prophet.
This is a lawyer. This is the lawyer representing the Kano State government and trying to uphold the decision of the Sharia court. And listen to what he's saying. We will not tolerate anybody that defends the prophet. That's what he's saying.
That touches the integrity of the Holy Prophet, we will punish him. And let me tell you one thing, this man will be executed if this court, upon the decisions of the law, will execute him.
Listen to what he's saying. He's saying whether he's discharged or not, this man will be executed. That's what they are saying about the person who is accused of blasphemy. Uthman Abdullah, what do you have to say about that? What does this have to say? What do you have to say about that? This is what is authentic. This is how the average Muslim, this is the mindset of the average Muslim in northern Nigeria.
The case has drawn national and international attention, highlighting tensions between religious law and constitutional rights in Nigeria.
That is the state of affairs in northern Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not just in cases like this. Okay, you even find it among prominent figures in the north. You have prominent figures in the north promoting this thing. Like, it's not just like here is okay, before we go to this one. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see this one. Okay, let me zoom in. Okay, you can. This is Bashir Ahmed. And Bashir Ahmed is somebody, let me give you a rundown of his profile in Nigeria. Let me give you a rundown of who Bashir Ahmed is. Before we read his tweet, let me give you this is a prominent. You can see he have 1.7 million followers on Twitter. So this is not a nobody. The journalist, husband, father, Office of the Order of Niger, digital strategist, media plus politics, former presidential aide to Buhari, and he calls himself a Buharist. So this is somebody who have worked with the government. This is a prominent figure. And this is what he had to say on Twitter in 2015, July 1st. I can't pretend or keep silent. I support the death penalty for blasphemy. That's my belief, and I do not and never support Save Kanu 9. This is somebody who this is a prominent figure in northern Nigeria. Yeah. I don't even know what Uthman is talking about now, because he's just going from one. Do you know the genealogy of the north? What has any? And then he asked me. There was one that I saw that I wanted to respond to. These are all following due process. The question is whether that should be a crime. What is your Uthman Abdullahi? Let me give you an opportunity to maybe the truth or lie. Tell me, what is your view on blasphemy law in Nigeria? Should somebody guilty of blasphemy be executed? What is your view, Uthman Abdullahi? Tell me. Anyway, guys, that is what is happening in northern Nigeria. That is what is happening in northern Nigeria. I want to show you guys one more thing. I can be angry, but sometimes it's important to point out some things that are more annoying but hopeful. This is the church in Nigeria that has just been attacked by jihadists. You can see the roof is gone, the tiles are broken, the walls are cracked, windows gone. This church has just been attacked. But one thing I love about northern Nigeria Christians is their resilience. Here they are still
to protect us, to guide us, Lord.
As you can see, Nigerian Christians
see us through,
after Islamic,
to fight for us, to give us hope.
And that is this should be a message to Abdullah and his friends. There's nothing people are going to do that is going to quench the spirit of Christianity and the fire of the gospel that is going to burn in the north. Okay, nothing you guys are going to do will extinguish that fire. Christianity will continue to thrive. It will thrive in Benue State. It will thrive in Jos. It will penetrate every home in northern Nigeria. It will continue to spread, and there's nothing you people will be able to do about it. These people recently tried to get the let me get that news story just to show the extent Nigerian Muslims have gone to. This is a news story from CNN. Nigerian teen whose Christian conversion triggered death threat granted restraining order. Despite all the killings, I want to show you how you guys are feeling. An 18-year-old Nigerian Christian convert has been granted a court order protecting her from her father and brothers who have been threatening to kill her for leaving the Islamic religion. Identified by the pseudonym Mary, The woman was smuggled to safety in a Christian community by her mother, according to Alliance Defending Freedom International, the religious freedom organization that assisted in the case. Following the threat, the lady and her mother sought to a restraining order against the father and brothers. This is what happens in northern Nigeria. Abdullahi, how far? What do you have to say about this as well? It's not true. It's not true. Is there something about this that I'm not getting correctly? Is this a conversation that we're having about whether, Anyways, it's all good. It's all good. Christianity is going to continue to spread in northern Nigeria, and nothing these Muslims will do will stop it. And if there is anything, we should be encouraged by the resilience of our Christian brothers and sisters in the north. Despite all the attacks, they still stand strong. One of the countries with the highest church attendance is among Christians is Nigeria. Okay, your church get bombed on Saturday, you attend church on Sunday regardless. Meanwhile, we have people in Europe who don't, and America, Christians people who claim to be Christians and do not attend church because they say it is boring or because they don't like it. I mean, I've seen conversations, and I think this is a good opportunity to talk about this. There's one conversation that I see in the West that I find ridiculous. I find it ridiculous. I will never understand it. I'm sorry, guys, but I will never understand it. I've seen people criticize churches that hold services in gym and strip malls. And they're like, oh, look at that. Real Christianity is holding service in a cathedral with stained glass windows. Whenever I see Christians in the West talk like that, I'm like, this is elitist. I don't know how else to describe it. I get it. If you find that appealing to you, fine. But sometimes there are some things that are appealing to you that you should not even voice out. Just be like, okay, you know what, I like this, but you know what, I'm not going to say too much about it. Because how do Nigerians who just have their cathedral blown to pieces, how are they going to feel? They should not attend church anymore because their cathedral has just been blown to pieces, and now they are staying under a tree. There are churches that have to stay under a tree in Nigeria because the church building have just been blown to pieces. And regardless of that, they say attend church. You are in the US and you're like, I will not attend the church because it is holding service in a strip mall or in a gym or in a classroom or whatever. Because of that, I cannot attend. I'm like, come on. Really? Really? That's your excuse. That's your excuse. And you call yourself a vibrant Christian. When they are calling Christians, they say, if Christians in the building, raise your hand and you will raise it. Don't allow something to cut down your hand. Bring it down and repent. 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 It is a stupid statement to talk about church building. You tell me whether Paul, Peter, James, the rest of them, we are worshiping in cathedrals. Anyways, let me acknowledge the super chats. I've not been acknowledging them. I want to thank you, Ayenora, for the 100 rupees. Wow, I've made it. Thank you so much, Ayenora. I really appreciate that. I'll keep preaching. Trust me, that's what I'll be doing here. Preaching and preaching endlessly. I want to acknowledge other super chats, but they're way, way up in the comments. This is from Uncle Copin. Thank you for the 20. I don't even know that currency. Said my favorite Nigerian goat and ass kicker. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Guys, please send more super chats, so that Abdullah can finally find a reason to say, oh, you see, he's just doing it for the money. I also want to thank Zeph's son. Stay safe, right? I will try my best. My wife tells me the same thing. Stay safe. Be careful. As you can see, I've been listening to everyone who have been telling me to stay safe. Well, thank you for the 5. Is it pound now or euros? I think that's euros. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Okay, and this is from Olajide Adeoye. Oh, I always love to see you, Olajide Adeoye. Good afternoon, Frank. I do not know anything about Nigerian politics. Well, what can I tell you? Nigerian politics is just is a lot. I don't talk about it often because if American politics or Western politics is frustrating, but Nigerian politics is it will just make you tired. Like, it will just make you tired. Very tired. because it's so annoying and frustrating and pointless. And I want to thank Roswell 1983. Thank you for the $50 for the 50 NOK. I don't know what country that is, but you said multiculturalism doesn't work. In general, people will always try to form communities with people who look. We always try to form communities with people who look the same and is culturally similar. I think it can work. It can work if people find something to unite under. The problem with multiculturalism is that people don't want to have, people who try to enforce it don't want to have an underlying culture. In a multicultural society, there has to be an underlying culture. If there's no underlying culture and every culture is significant and equally relevant and equally valuable and equally everything, then it is bound to disintegrate and become chaotic. That is the problem with all the recent modern attempt at multiculturalism. Here is from Uncle Copin again. He said he had this Zoom jizya for your Zionist propaganda. Thank you, Uncle Copin. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And this is from Adeoye again, $5. Thank you so much. He said, okay, I think I've read that. Or did you send it twice? I'm not sure at this point. Okay, I think you did send it twice. Oh, no, I think you did not send it twice. I just happened to be clicking on it twice. All right, I think that is all the super chats for now. Is there more that I'm yet to see? Let me know. Yep. Thank you guys so much. I don't want to go any further, but I want to highlight this. Aha! Finally, I was waiting for it. Uthman Abdullah, Frank is a charlatan. He has a very poor understanding of things. Okay, fair enough. Unfair enough, but you know what? I believe, unlike Muhammad, I accept criticisms. I do not ask for people to behead people who I do not cry in the Arabian desert. Who are avenged so and so for causing discomfort to the Prophet and his family. You know the story, right? Uthman, are you aware of that hadith? I'm not like the Prophet, the great Prophet of Arabia. I'm not like him. Okay, I do not ask people to kill on my behalf. Yeah. Okay. Josh Jackson say, just know that all African politics is corrupt and run like mafia cartels. Essentially. And there is nothing. This is one thing about Nigerian politics or African politics as a whole. If you've ever felt helpless as an American, like you look at what is going on in your country and you feel helpless, believe me, you are not helpless. When you come to Nigeria or to Africa and you see how African politics operate, you will feel helpless. Like the feeling of helplessness will embrace you and consume you. You will really, really feel helpless because you see the problem. You're like, this is a simple something. How come this is an issue? This is an issue because some people have decided that this problem will not be solved. Like the problem of insecurity in northern Nigeria. There are people who have decided that problem will not go away. It will not go away. Anyways, so yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Again, please, Uthman, it's you especially, please smash that like button. Smash it, destroy it, and subscribe if you're not yet subscribed to the channel. Subscribe so that the next time I criticize Islam, you'll be there to give a counter argument in the comments. And please, if Allah touches your heart, or if God touches your heart, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/NIG perspective and give me your money over there. Okay. I really appreciate every one of you. I really, really appreciate every one of you. And like Jazz said, you will realize you are lucky if you realize how lucky you are in the West when you look at Africa. Exactly. You will 100%. Anyway, thank you everyone. This is 2 hours. We've really gone with just one topic. Alhamdulillah. Thank you everyone. I really appreciate. And before I go, let me use this opportunity once again to call, to present the gospel to each and every one of us, to remind us that God loves you, Jesus loves you more than Muhammad. Abdullah, I'm talking to you especially. God loves you, and Jesus loves you more than Muhammad. And he's not his love is not the type that tells you to go and kill or be killed. Just like the Quran said. I don't know if you are familiar, Abdullah, with Surah 9 verse 111. Surah 9 verse 111 is what the Quran says about the life of a Muslim. Let me read it out for you, Uthman. And so you can see just how horrible your religion is, and why Christianity is better. He said, this is what Surah 9 verse 111 said. Allah has indeed purchased for the believers their life and wealth in exchange for paradise. So, Uthman, this place is saying Allah has purchased your life and your wealth in exchange for paradise. Yes, you give him your life and your wealth, and in exchange you get paradise. And what are you going to do now that Allah now has your life as a Muslim? This is what you're supposed to do. The next sentence says, you fight in the cause of Allah and kill or are killed. They fight in the cause of Allah and kill or are killed. This is a true promise binding on him in the Torah, the Gospel, and the Quran, and whose promise is truer than Allah's. So rejoice in the exchange you have made with him. That is truly the ultimate triumph. That is what Allah wants you to rejoice in a life of killing and being killed for Allah. That is the life of a Muslim. But in Christ, you are not called to kill. You are called to offer life to people. And that is what I'm offering you. The life that Christ laid down his life for. Abundant life, eternal life, a life with the true God, the one true God, Jesus Christ. A life purchased by his precious blood. He's not like Muhammad, who sent people out to kill on his behalf. He's a God who comes down, familiarizes himself with the infirmities of man, remains beyond without sin, and laid down his life for the ransom of many, for the justification of many, including you if you will accept him today. And if you accept him today, you will experience the joy that the Nigerian Christians in northern Nigeria are experiencing despite all the bombardments from Muslims. You experience a peace that transcends this world, a peace that passes on all understanding, a peace that keeps you still, even while Islamists are knocking on your door, a peace that makes you stand vibrant and reliant and resilient, despite what this world will throw at you. When Jesus was about to leave this earth, he said to his disciples, in the world you will have tribulations, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. And the truth that overcome the world is the gospel, is eternal life, is life in Christ. That is a triumphant life. And I invite you to partake in that life, to give your life to Christ. And he will change you from the inside out. He will keep you. And he will be your God, and you will be his people. Alhamdulillah. Anyways, before going, I want to once again acknowledge another super chat from Uncle Copin. By wise counsel, thou shalt make thy war. I don't know what that is for, but whatever. And Joshua said, wherever Islam occupies becomes Gaza. Nigeria is looking worse than Gaza, if we'll be honest. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate every one of you. And of course, I'm going to end with what I usually end with. I'll find something else to end with in the future. Okay, you know what? I'll end with something different. Because, we are celebrating Islam. And I want to end with something different. Where are you? Yeah, I'm going to end with Ali Dawa.
This is
so thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. God bless you. God keep you. I wish I can continue going, but I have to stop here. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. And until we meet again, stay winning, stay blessed. God bless you, and peace.
This is a part of our religion. There's a reason to it. Yeah, there's a reason why there's a capital punishment, because people like you, little weaklings who leave their religion and cause corruption in the land by spreading it, the capital punishment in Islamic law would be applied to you. We have no doubt, and we're proud of that. Yeah, capital punishment will be applied in an Islamic state. Yeah, not individuals going and doing it themselves like idiots. Yeah, no, under an emir, it is done. Yes, and we, you know what, we'll be watching. We'll be watching. Because if you're going to cause corruption in the land, that's going to cause more damage to the society as a whole, because the Sharia didn't come to protect an individual's right. Hey, can I drink alcohol? Yeah, sure. Drink alcohol, run someone over, kill them, set all this kind of chaos. No, Islam says the right of the community is greater than you individual wanting your right to freedom, which is BS. Absolutely BS, yeah? Don't get me started. So it just backfired on you.
It's a gut thing, okay? I don't know, but I know, okay? I don't know, but I know. What are we to discern from all of this? I'll tell you my take on this. It's a gut thing, okay? I don't know, but I know. Okay, I don't know, but I know. It's a gut thing. I don't know, but I know. It's a gut thing. I don't know, but I know. It's a gut thing, okay? Make it make sense. It's very easy to debunk me, okay? Easy. Super internet, debunk me, okay? Easy. Super internet, debunk me, okay? Very easy. We've got other people that are doing different things, and it is, they do not want us to prod the narrative. So I'm going to assume, doesn't make sense to prod the narrative. We've got other people, doesn't make sense to prod the narrative. We've got other people, doesn't make sense to prod the narrative. We've got other people that are doing different things. I don't know, but I know. Prod the narrative. I don't know, but I know. It's a gut thing. It's over, it's done, wrap it up.